Chapter 3146. 3146 Life is so hard. 3146 Life is so hard. Master Fu cast a stern look at Yang Jihu. White Tiger, be careful when you punish people in the future. I can't believe you can do this to a pretty girl. Yang Jihu didn't know what to do. He hadn't done anything. However, he was known for his short temper. No wonder he was blamed for this. After Feng Wu was examined, Yang Jihu had the almost supreme level medicine refiner check the two unfortunate women who had been beaten up by Feng Wu. Wang Zhaola stole a glance at Yang Jihu. Their boss had always been tough, and saving face was his biggest concern. Feng Wu had created some major trouble this time, and Wang Zhaola was worried Yang Jihu would scold Feng Wu again when she woke up. Wang Zhaola gave Feng Wu a sympathetic glance and hoped she wouldn't wake up too soon. Yang Jihu saw the girl had moved around in bed and her arms were outside the blanket. Fearing that she would catch a cold, Yang Jihu tucked the blanket around her neck. He then told Wang Zhaola, "Fetch some hot porridge." After some thought, he added, "Bring the stove here, too. I don't want the porridge to get cold." Wang Zhaola was surprised. What happened to his boss? He soon decided his boss wanted to feed the girl before lashing out at her. Poor girl. Wang Zhaola was filled with sympathy and went to make the porridge himself. No one expected a little girl to beat up her two senior sisters. Wang Zhaola knew he wouldn't want to offend her. Seeing Wang Zhaola cooking over the stove, Yin Han moved closer and asked, "Zhaola, why are you making porridge?" Wang Zhaola shrugged. "Colonel Yang told me to make this for the girl." Yin Han frowned. She hoped Yang Jihu would send Feng Wu away. "If that girl stayed here, cooking isn't for guys. Let me help you." Yin Han rolled up her sleeves and wanted to take over. Wang Zhaola recalled the way Yin Han talked to everybody about Feng Wu, and Han Lu and Gao had only behaved that way because of Yin Han. The thought made his stomach lurch. He involuntarily said, "That's fine. Making porridge isn't hard. I could do it myself." Yin Han looked like an abandoned puppy. "Zhaola, do you think I started the whole thing? I just want to do something to express how sorry I am. I didn't know Feng Wu would hit them so hard." Wang Zhaola looked at her in astonishment. Shouldn't she feel sorry for urging people to slander Feng Wu behind her back? Why did she make it sound like it was Feng Wu's fault? Wang Zhaola's face darkened, and he turned Yin Han down. "Colonel Yang told me to make some porridge, and I have to be the one to make it. If something goes wrong, will you take the blame?" Wang Zhaola had never been so serious before, and Yin Han's heart sank. She said meekly, "What could go wrong? Zhaola, is that what you think of me?" Yin Han burst into tears. She buried her face in her hands and ran off. Wang Zhaola was baffled and wondered if it was something he had said. Yang Hong smacked him on the shoulder. "Did you make her cry?" Wang Zhaola was dumbfounded. "I barely said anything to her. Why was life so hard?" Chapter 3147. 3147 The Girl Who Eats a Lot. 3147 The Girl Who Eats a Lot. Yang Jihu was already quite frustrated. He put his hands behind his back and stared out the window. He was going to reprimand the girl when she woke up. She needed to know she couldn't mess around in the colonel's quarters, even if the crown prince was her patron. He turned around when he heard movement behind him. The girl stuck her head out of the blanket like a cute bunny. For the first time in his life, Yang Jihu knew what cute meant. He told himself to stay unaffected because he was supposed to reprimand her. The girl rubbed her eyes with her fair hands before putting her hands over her stomach and sitting up. She still felt weak, so she only stuck her head out, showing off her fair skin, exquisite chin, and her cheeks that still had some baby fat on them. The innocent and bewildered look on her face made one want to squeeze her adorable cheeks. Seeing the girl's round little head, Yang Jihu realized his anger had completely disappeared. The girl was simply too lovely. She pouted and rubbed her stomach as she looked at him with an innocent look on her face. It was as if he was the only person who could help her. Yang Jihu was nearly 30 years old and had just begun to develop a paternal instinct. He had a soft spot for adorable girls. He couldn't bring himself to say anything harsh to her. He had to put on a stern look as he stared at Feng Wu. "You're awake." Feng Wu recalled what happened before she passed out. She had beaten up 2 people who had been talking behind her back. She wondered how strict the military rules were. She could mention Elder Julian's name, but she wasn't the kind of idiot who couldn't live without a patron. She was an independent girl. She would do everything on her own. Feng Wu's eyes darted around, and she knew what to do. Hungry, Yang Jihu stared at the girl and asked sternly. Feng Wu looked at Yang Jihu with her bright eyes and nodded. Wang Zhaola heard their conversation and came in with a bowl of porridge. Yang Jihu wanted to scold Feng Wu, but when he saw the look on her face, his anger disappeared right away. He beckoned Wang Zhaola over and gestured at him, telling him to give the porridge to Feng Wu. Feng Wu took the bowl and finished the porridge in one go. Her bold gesture wasn't something a pretty girl would do. Yang Jihu felt that even he didn't eat that way. Feng Wu wiped her mouth and looked eagerly at Yang Jihu. It was obvious what she wanted. Having no choice, Yang Jihu glanced at Wang Zhaola. Wang Zhaola ran out of the room and got Feng Wu another bowl of porridge. Feng Wu finished it in one go again. Yang Jihu wanted to laugh. The girl was pouring porridge down her throat like she was drinking wine. Feng Wu was still hungry. Yang Jihu said, "Let her have it. Let's see when she'll be full." When Yang Jihu sent Wang Zhaola to make the porridge, he had given the latter special permission to use the black rice in the storage room. Wang Zhaola had also added the meat of a magical beast to the porridge, as well as an entire essence crystal. The essence crystal was the size of an egg and came from Elder Hum. Ordinary people couldn't withstand that kind of energy and would die from their energy channels exploding. Yang Jihu watched as Feng Wu finished one bowl after another. The stack of bowls now towered above her head, but she still wanted more. In the end, she finished the whole pot, which was enough to feed Wang Zhaola's entire team. Chapter 3148. 3148, A New Cultivation Path. 3148, A New Cultivation Path. To feed the girl, Wang Zhaola went to the canteen in the colonel's quarters and brought back the porridge that was meant for all the colonels. However, the girl proved she had a bigger appetite than they had expected. 10 bowls. 100 bowls. 200 bowls. Yang Jihu and Wang Zhaola looked at each other with wide eyes. How much more could she eat? Feng Wu was equally surprised. What happened to her? Why couldn't she feel full? Everything she ate was immediately consumed by her dantian. Take this porridge, for example. When she ate it, the useful spiritual essence was immediately absorbed by her dantian, while the rest was crushed and discarded. She could feel the spiritual essence increasing in her dantian. The speed was incredible. Each bowl didn't provide her with much energy, but it accumulated over time. She knew she had become an intermediate level 5 spiritual king. She had been a junior before passing out. Was she able to increase her cultivation level by eating? While Feng Wu was surprised by her special ability, Yang Jihu was shocked by her appetite. In the end, Yang Jihu was blown away. He stammered, Are you full yet? The girl looked at him with puppy eyes and shook her head repeatedly. Still no. Yang Jihu really wanted to cry. Feng Wu licked her lips and said meekly, The second batch of porridge tastes better. The batch she meant had more essence crystals in it and was prepared for colonels between level 6 and level 8. Yang Jihu didn't know how to express his feelings right now because one couldn't absorb spiritual essence infinitely. A cultivator could only ingest a limited amount of spiritual essence every day. If they crossed the threshold, their veins would explode if their bodies didn't explode first. The girl had ingested far more spiritual essence than an ordinary cultivator could. Are you sure you're all right? Yang Jihu frowned. Feng Wu said, I'm hungry. Yang Jihu said, No, you can't eat anymore. You'll explode. Be a good girl. Feng Wu lowered her head in disappointment. All right. Yang Jihu fought back the impulse to rub her little head. Get some rest. Join us when you've recovered. Yang Jihu left after that. He was gone. Even he had forgotten he had waited here for so long because he wanted to reprimand her when she woke up. Yang Jihu met someone shortly after he left the room. Mr. Yang. It was Yin Han. Yang Jihu smiled at her. Yin Han, what are you doing here? It's late. You should go to bed. He walked away after that, but Yin Han followed him. She bit her lip as if she had been wronged. Mr. Yang, I'm here to confess. Confess. Yang Jihu looked at her in bewilderment. Yin Han said, they were talking about Feng Wu before, saying she became a colonel because of her connections, and they didn't like that. I said something bad about her. Yang Jihu waved her off. That's it? Don't worry about it. Yin Han said, it was my fault. I shouldn't have said those things about her, even if she came here because she pulled some strings. Yang Jihu laughed. Don't worry about it. You're the only one here who's not qualified to be a colonel. Elder Yin is the only reason you're here. Chapter 3149. 3149, she's a genius. 3149, she's a genius. Yang Jihu laughed. Don't worry about it. You're the only one here who's not qualified to be a colonel. Elder Yin is the only reason you're here. Yin Han's expression froze. Was Yang Jihu mocking her? However, that didn't seem to be the case when she looked at his earnest smile. She could only grit her teeth and change the subject. Feng Wu's real level is. Yang Jihu lost his temper when he heard that. His face darkened, and he said angrily, I don't know who spread the rumor that she's a level 2 spiritual king. That's so misleading. If I find out who it was, I'll kick their ass. Yin Han felt a chill run down her spine. However, she stayed by Yang Jihu's side because she still wanted to slander Feng Wu. But she behaved like a level 2 spiritual king 2 weeks ago in the junior arena. She only just made a breakthrough before that. I've asked around. That's the truth. Yang Jihu shook his head. It's like you said. That was 2 weeks ago. Yin Han stared at him. Yang Jihu put his hands behind his back. He looked troubled, but he sounded like he was bragging. You have no idea. That girl is a genius. Yin Han wanted to leave because she had a feeling that she didn't want to hear the next part. She smiled bitterly. Mr. Yang, However, Yang Jihu had become excited and wouldn't let her leave. He complained to Yin Han. You have no idea how fast she's been making progress. She only joined the War Academy 6 months ago. Do you know how many ranks she has skipped? Once he started, he couldn't stop. While Feng Wu was unconscious, he had gone to ask Elder Hellion. When Elder Hellion showed him Feng Wu's school report, Yang Jihu couldn't believe his eyes. Seeing that Yin Han had the same reaction and the same dark face, Yang Jihu felt the satisfaction of inflicting his pain on other people. They hadn't had much time, so Elder Hellion didn't say much. Yang Jihu could tell that Elder Hellion still had more to say, but he made an excuse and left. If he listened any longer, he felt his cultivation would be affected. Yin Han wanted to bury her head in her hands. She didn't want to hear it. However, she was supposed to be a sympathetic princess, so she could only smile and try to change the subject. I guess Feng Wu is very impressive, but she injured Han Lu and Gallia so severely. According to the military rules, she would be whipped at least 80 times, which could kill her. Yang Jihu said sternly, someone will be punished. There's no doubt about it. I won't let this kind of behavior continue. Yin Han heaved a sigh of relief. Believing she had achieved her goal, she said goodbye to Yang Jihu and left as fast as she could. After she was gone, Wang Zhaola arrived in a hurry. Mr. Yang, it's Feng Wu. Yang Jihu frowned. What now? She's still hungry. Wang Zhaola smiled awkwardly. After some thought, Yang Jihu took a handful of essence crystals out of his pocket. He hesitated, then handed Wang Zhaola an entire pouch. She can have them all, Wang Zhaola said, but you've been saving them for so long. Chapter 3150. 3150 How much can a girl eat? 3150 How much can a girl eat? Did Yang Jihu want to give them away? Of course not. He had been saving them for a long while. However, he couldn't starve the girl either. Therefore, Yang Jihu told Wang Zhaola, use them all. We have to feed the kid. All right, said Wang Zhaola. Wait. Yang Jihu stopped Wang Zhaola before the latter left. Don't tell anyone about Feng Wu's appetite. We don't want to damage her reputation. He wondered if the crown prince knew about this. Yang Jihu had just sat down when Wang Zhaola returned. Yang Jihu asked, "Shouldn't you be taking care of Feng Wu?" Well, Wang Zhaola had an indescribable look on his face. Yang Jihu asked, "Has something happened to the girl? Is she all right?" Wang Zhaola said, "Well." Yang Jihu slapped his desk. "Speak." Wang Zhaola said, "She's finished everything. She absorbed all the essence crystals you gave me." Yang Jihu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. It had taken him a year to accumulate all those essence crystals. What a wasteful girl. He felt like dropping to his knees and begging her to stop. Wang Zhaola asked, "What should we do now?" The girl still says she's hungry. Yang Jihu was glad he never promised to feed the girl until she was full. "You can go now. I'll take care of it." After sending Wang Zhaola away, Yang Jihu paced up and down the room. What should he do now? He couldn't starve the kid, but he couldn't afford the expense either. He had no choice but to talk to Elder Hung. Elder Hung was shocked. "Really?" Yang Jihu nodded. "Yes. She can't stop eating. It's as if her stomach has turned into a bottomless pit, and all the food just disappears. We don't have enough essence crystals to give her." Elder Hung rubbed his chin. "We didn't have enough before, but maybe that's no longer the case. After all, she won us an essence crystal mine. However, we'll need Elder Helian's permission first." Hence, Yang Jihu and Elder Hung went to see Elder Helian together. Elder Helian was a very stingy man, but he immediately said yes when he learned the essence crystals were for Feng Wu. Of course she can have them. She can take as many as she needs. There's no limit. Yang Jihu wanted to remind his superior that the decision would cost him a lot. He couldn't be too explicit, and the remainder was quite subtle. However, Elder Helian didn't think much of it. How much energy can a girl absorb? Don't be so stingy. Stingy. Yang Jihu nearly fainted. He asked gingerly, "Did Miss Feng Wu have such a big appetite before?" Elder Helian said, "Did she? I've never heard anything about it." Yang Jihu's stomach sank. Did she become this way because she fought with some girls in the colonel's quarters? Did that make it an injury she had suffered on the job? Elder Helian gave Yang Jihu a token. "Take this and get the essence crystals for mine number 3. It's guarded by Elder Wu." Yang Jihu said, "I'll probably need a lot." Elder Helian waved him off, not taking the reminder seriously. "A lot? How much could a girl eat?" Chapter 3151. 3151 Patrol the Territory. 3151 Patrol the Territory. When Yang Jihu saw Feng Wu chewing essence crystals as if they were sweets, he was glad he never promised to feed her until she was full. The first time he went to mine number 3, he came back with a handful of essence crystals. A handful was more than it sounded, because it could provide enough energy for an elder to cultivate for a month. However, Feng Wu carried the small bag of essence crystals around and snacked on it wherever she went. The essence crystals were soon gone. Yang Jihu had to get more. Elder Wu was displeased to see Yang Jihu, but he still gave the latter more because they were for Feng Wu. The new batch lasted longer, but not too much. They were gone in 2 days. Feng Wu soon finished this batch. Yang Jihu wondered if Feng Wu really saw them as a snack. Why hadn't her energy channels exploded? It was a miracle. In the end, Yang Jihu couldn't stand it anymore. He took Feng Wu to mine number 3 and showed her inside. Most of the essence crystals in the mine had been used up already. He asked Feng Wu, "Do you want to find your food yourself?" Feng Wu was speechless. Did this man think she was some kind of baby and would lie on the ground, chewing on the rocks? Still, it was a great idea. She didn't need any token. All she needed was to show up. All the elders knew Feng Wu had taken the mine from Elder Dongfang after outwitting the latter. Led by Elder Helian, Imperial College had been a rather poor institute. They only had 2 mines now. Only the elders and a couple of their best students were qualified to cultivate in the mines. The first mine they had could hardly be called a mine. It was less than 100 meters long. There were over a dozen elders in Peace Grassland, and the place was packed when they all entered. It was such an embarrassing scene. It didn't look like cultivation at all. Luckily, Feng Wu obtained my number 3 for them. The first 200 meters had been drained, and half a dozen elders were scattered in the last 100 meters. They were all cultivating and didn't notice Feng Wu. Elder Wu was filled with emotion when he saw Feng Wu. The first time they met was a month ago. Back then, he thought Feng Wu was only doing a little better than the other students. Although her talent was rare, it wasn't unique in Imperial College. However, what happened next proved him wrong. The girl had done amazing things in the competition against the military academy, in the junior arena, and in the Dallas Woods, and had won them a mine. He thought he had seen everything, but she still amazed him. Elder Wu no longer treated Feng Wu as a junior cultivator. If he could, he would enshrine her. Feng Wu, I didn't know you were coming. Come in. Yang Zhihu had been trying to find an excuse to get Feng Wu inside, but he was surprised by Elder Wu's reaction. Elder Wu was supposed to treat everyone in an indifferent manner. Feng Wu walked inside, still chewing on essence crystals. This was the first time she had seen the mine since she won it from Elder Dongfang. It's on the smaller side. Feng Wu walked next to Elder Wu, as if she was patrolling her own territory. Chapter 3152. 3152, how wonderful. 3152, how wonderful. It's on the smaller side. Feng Wu walked next to Elder Wu, as if she was patrolling her own territory. Elder Wu told Feng Wu, it's big enough. The first one is only 100 meters long. The military academy has been using this one for many years, but there are still 100 meters left. Feng Wu studied the unexploited section and realized there was only a thin layer of essence crystals. There wasn't much left. She put a hand on her stomach, her face turning pale. Elder Wu asked in concern, what's wrong? Just then, they heard familiar footsteps outside. It was Elder Hellion. Seeing Feng Wu, Elder Hellion went up to her in a hurry. Kiddo, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Feng Wu smiled bitterly. I'm starving, Elder Hellion said. That sounds so serious. What happened? Why are you suddenly unwell? Being a semi-divine medicine refiner, Feng Wu knew herself better than anyone else. She couldn't figure it out at first, but after analyzing herself for the past 2 days, she finally knew what was going on. She said, ultimately, it's because I made too many breakthroughs in such a short time. When I passed out from starvation, some of my hidden symptoms flared up. She rubbed her forehead. I made too much progress in the past year. I started off as a spiritual master a year ago, and I'm a level 5 spiritual king now. My level has been rising, but I've been stretching out my spiritual essence. It's like when a person grows too fast until their nutrition can't keep up with that speed. In the end, something serious is bound to happen. My hunger for spiritual essence now is in response to my past deficiency. I simply need too much spiritual essence. It seems I'll never be able to eat enough. Feng Wu raised her head to find everybody staring at her in astonishment, including Elder Hellion, Elder Wu, and Yang Zhihu. Even the elders who had been cultivating in the mine had stopped what they were doing and were looking at her silently. No one spoke, and the mine became dead silent. She wasn't showing off, which was even worse. Feng Wu asked, "Are you all right?" Elder Hellion wanted to leave. Was she even human? How could she do all that? These elders were already outstanding cultivators, but Feng Wu's words were still such a hard blow to them, let alone other people. Feng Wu said, she wondered if she had said something wrong. She said, I'm so hungry. Elder Hellion sighed. Go ahead. You won this mine. You can have as much as you want. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Really? Elder Hellion said, that's right. How many essence crystals can you use, anyway? He knew the monthly consumption of spiritual overlords. Feng Wu was only a spiritual king, so how much could she need? Elder Hellion wasn't worried at all. She can't use more than 1,000, thought Elder Hellion. But, crack. When Feng Wu sat down with her legs crossed, the essence crystals within a meter of her began to crack, as if they were drained of energy. Crack. The range expanded to 2 meters around her, and the ground looked like a spiderweb now. Crack! Elder Hulian's face turned green. The range had expanded to 5 meters. He suddenly rose to his feet and couldn't look away. As for Yang Jihu, Chapter 3153, 3153 Group of 8. 3153 Group of 8. Elder Hellion didn't know how to react. Feng Wu seemed to have turned into an essence crystal vacuum cleaner. She was consuming essence crystals like a tornado. Yang Jihu stole a glance at Elder Hellion before looking at Feng Wu, who was oblivious. He thought, I knew this was going to happen. Elder Hellion is so jumpy. He thought he knew everything about Feng Wu, but he soon grew uneasy because, crack, that range had expanded to 10 meters, and the ground cracked even further. Normal essence crystals were white with a pale green tint, which was the color of the spiritual essence within. However, the essence crystals on the ground had become. Elder Wu grabbed a handful and showed it to Elder Hellion, who sensed the spiritual essence within. There was nothing left. The crystals had all been drained. There wasn't a trace left. That was to say, the essence crystals beneath the cracked ground had all become useless. They were no different from ordinary stones. The only function they had now was as building material. Elder Hellion watched Feng Wu with a pleading look in his eyes. He crossed his fingers and hoped the girl could leave some for the other members of the school. 20 meters. 50 meters. Elder Hellion didn't have much hope left. The other elders were all stunned. That was incredible. What kind of creature was this girl? Her absorption rate. Won't she explode? Elder Wu licked his dry lips and asked Elder Hellion in bewilderment. The other elders were equally confused. Elder Hellion said in frustration, How am I supposed to know? Yang Jihu licked his lips and wondered if the colonel's quarters would need to pay for this loss. After all, Feng Wu was one of them now. While everybody was transfixed, they heard approaching footsteps. They sounded quite familiar. Elder Hellion looked up to see some old acquaintances. It was Elder Dongfang, the last person Elder Hellion wanted to see at the moment. Because the wound on Dongfang Ziyun's neck still hadn't healed, Elder Dongfang wanted to take her to the Essence Crystal Mine, where Dongfang Ziyun could use the spiritual essence to heal her wound. The elders weren't exactly happy with Dongfang Ziyun, but she was the only supreme-level medicine refiner that they knew of and who could be used against Imperial College. Because of that, they didn't say anything. After Dongfang Ziyun circulated the spiritual essence in her system, her treatment was over for the day. Elder Dongfang was ready to leave. However, Dongfang Ziyun insisted on going to mine number 3 when she heard Feng Wu was there. Elder Dongfang couldn't change her mind, so she took her niece there to have a look. They were currently in mine number 2, and 6 other elders were cultivating here. 3 of them used to cultivate in mine number 3 and now had to squeeze into mine number 2 after number 3 became Imperial colleges. Because of that, the 3 of them were quite displeased. Hearing that Elder Dongfang was going to number 3, they decided to go with her for sentimental reasons. After that, the other 3 elders decided to tag along. Hence, the group of 8 went on a one-day trip to mine number 3. Chapter 3154. 3154 Frustration. 3154 Frustration. The 2 mines weren't too far apart, and the elders arrived at their destination within 15 minutes. When they arrived, Feng Wu was breaking the mine apart. The ground beneath her was cracking, and the cracks were expanding in all directions. It already looked like a spiderweb and reminded one of when Jun Lin Yuan farted repeatedly. Feng Wu had no idea she was absorbing spiritual essence like a vacuum cleaner. Seeing this, Elder Hellion thought his heart was going to stop. His face drained of all color, and he put a hand over his chest. He was going to pass out. However, his old enemy arrived at that moment. Elder Dongfang stood on the edge and looked down at the people in the mine. The mine was essentially a pit, and Elder Dongfang could see everything happening inside. She saw the elders sitting there in bewilderment, while Feng Wu was sitting in another spot all by herself. As for the ground of the mine, Dongfang Ziyun had been so weak that she couldn't walk around without her aunt's help. However, she grew excited when she saw this. "Aunt!" Her shriek was quite harsh. Elder Dai glanced at Dongfang Ziyun in bewilderment. She had seemed too weak to speak only a moment ago. Why was she so loud now? Dongfang Ziyun was over the moon because she thought she had found a way to defeat Feng Wu. "Aunt!" Dongfang Ziyun grabbed Elder Dongfang's hand and shouted, "Look! What's happening to the mine? Why is the ground cracked? Is this some sort of curse? Or is it the wrath of heaven?" "A curse? The wrath of heaven? What slander?" Dongfang Ziyun was trying to ruin Feng Wu. The elders of Imperial College were furious. They all turned their furious gazes on Dongfang Ziyun. Yang Jihu was a level 9 spiritual king and was the weakest member here. Hence, when all the elders stared at Dongfang Ziyun together, it was more than she could take. She nearly passed out in fear. Although she managed to stay conscious, the gazes would still disturb her mind for a long time. Dongfang Ziyun wouldn't be able to make any progress anytime soon. Elder Dongfang reacted quickly and dragged Dongfang Ziyun away from the edge. She stared at Elder Hellion. "What are you doing? Why are you and your elders bullying a girl?" Before Elder Hellion could speak, Elder Wu smirked. "Why is an old girl bullying a little girl then?" "An old girl?" Dongfang Ziyun couldn't believe her ears. Elder Wu said righteously, "Xiao Wu isn't 15 yet and is only a girl. How old are you now? Aren't you ashamed of bullying Xiao Wu?" Dongfang Ziyun spat out a mouthful of blood. She was furious. Elder Dongfang fumed. "You!" Elder Hellion glared at Elder Dongfang. "Shut up. You're halfway into your grave, but you still won't leave a 14-year-old alone. What are you, 15? Elder Dongfang also spat out a mouthful of blood. Elder Hellion pointed at Elder Dongfang. "Why is your niece so unreasonable? She's behaving this way because she's mimicking her senior." Chapter 3155. 3155 Imperial College's mine is gone. 3155 Imperial College's mine is gone. Elder Dongfang spat out a mouthful of blood in frustration. Since when did Elder Hellion become so eloquent? He hadn't been so harsh before. Elder Dongfang had no idea that the change in Elder Hellion was caused by Feng Wu. Because he wanted to protect his kid now, he no longer feared anything. Moreover, Feng Wu was so talented and wanted very little from the school. Therefore, he became much more capable. Seeing the two elders fighting, Elder Gu frowned. "What happened? Why are all the essence crystals shattered?" Dongfang Ziyun said, "Look, the cracks are centered around Feng Wu. She must be the reason." Elder Gu couldn't begin to describe how much it pained him to see this. He and the other two elders used to cultivate here. The spacious mine was almost destroyed. The space was 100 meters long and 20 meters wide. The ground was around 2,000 square meters in size, and cracks covered the entire area. Elder Gu jumped into the mine, grabbed a handful of essence crystals, and examined them. There was no spiritual essence. Not a single trace. What happened? Elder Gu stared at Elder Wu. "Mine number 3 was perfectly fine when we handed it over. Why did the essence crystals turn into rocks? What did you do to them?" Elder Wu felt equally sorry, but what could he do? The girl was hungry, and they had to feed her first. Elder Hellion said so, and none of the other elders objected. They felt sorry about losing all the essence crystals, but it was Feng Wu who had given them this mine, and she could use it however she wanted. Right now, they all wanted to protect her and keep her abnormality from other people. They were acutely aware of the fact that Feng Wu's secret had to remain a secret. Elder Wu lost his temper when he heard Elder Gu's question. Elder Wu snapped. "Who the hell are you? Do you know whose mine it is? What gave you the right to question me? Do you hear Elder Hellion saying anything?" Elder Dai said, "That's right. Is it your mine now? Stop gabbing." Elder Gu snorted. You must be so proud of yourself. Imperial College was much more polite when you people begged for our help. You found yourself a patron, haven't you? Elder Gu mocked Elder Dai. Are you seeing this? The mine you've worked so hard to steal from us is gone. The essence crystals have been reduced to rubble. You don't have anything to use. Your old mine is almost drained. Imperial College doesn't have a mine left. How are you going to cultivate from now on? Don't come to us and beg for our help. We won't give you a dime. Good luck. Elder Gu then told Elder Dongfang, let's go. They'll beg us one day. The other elders of the military academy also sneered at the elders of Imperial College. There were even looks of pity in their eyes. Dongfang Zian smirked and confirmed that Feng Wu's good fortune had come to an end. Something happened at that moment. There was a strange sound. Chapter 3156. 3156 Feng Wu fell. 3156 Feng Wu fell. Just then, they heard a strange noise. Elder Gu frowned and got an ominous feeling. The people of the military academy involuntarily paused and looked at one another. Something fell off. Dongfang Zian turned around and saw Feng Wu sitting alone in the essence crystal mine. Her hands were folded together, and she looked as ethereal as a fairy. Rumble. A glow enveloped Feng Wu. It then turned into a beam of light which burst out of her body. She's made a breakthrough. Dongfang Ziyun stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. She was a level 2 spiritual king before. Dongfang Ziyun ground her teeth. Is she a level 3-1 now? Who told you she was a level 2 spiritual king? Elder Gu looked at Dongfang Ziyun in bewilderment. With the concealing jade, usually no one could tell Feng Wu's actual level. However, she was in the middle of a breakthrough, and capable cultivators could sense the change in her spiritual essence. What level is she? Dongfang Ziyun's stomach lurched. She knew Feng Wu was more capable than that. Earlier in the prison, Feng Wu had almost killed her with that soft-bladed sword. Dongfang Ziyun knew then that she stood no chance against Feng Wu. Elder Gu sighed. She's a level 6 spiritual king now. That meant Feng Wu had been a level 5 spiritual king before. How's that possible? She was only a level 2 spiritual king in the junior arena. I'm sure of it. Dongfang Ziyun looked like she was about to cry. She was only a level 2 spiritual king. She was so insistent because she wanted to prove that Feng Wu wasn't a level 6 spiritual king now. Elder Gu shook his head. I don't know what level she was back then, but she is absolutely a level 6 spiritual king now. If you don't believe me, you can ask Elder Dongfang. Dongfang Ziyun looked at her aunt, who nodded grimly. Elder Dongfang didn't feel any less frustrated. She was overwhelmed by a sense of crisis. She tried to convince herself that compared with herself, a peak spiritual overlord, a spiritual king still had a long way to go. Moreover, Imperial College would have paid a high price if this breakthrough had cost them all the spiritual essence in this mine. Elder Dongfang was filled with jealousy, and so were the other elders of the military academy. Elder Gu even sneered at the people of Imperial College. Doting on Feng Wu is the worst mistake you've ever made. You'll regret. He was cut off by a sudden turn of events. Whoosh! There was a loud crack, and they saw the ground open up at an even faster rate. The ground only looked like a spider web before, but some of the cracks were wider than a palm. Feng Wu was still sitting in the center of the mine. Crack! Right at that moment, thump! It sounded like something had fallen into a pond. Everybody realized Feng Wu was gone. Where's Feng Wu? Where is she? She fell into that hole in the ground. I saw it. Chapter 3157. 3157, not just essence liquid. 3157, not just essence liquid. Where's Feng Wu? Where is she? She fell into that hole in the ground. I saw it. Fell. Where? There should only be rocks beneath the layer of essence crystals. What could she have fallen into? Elder Hellion didn't care about that. All he knew was that his favorite girl was missing. The next second, he disappeared from the spot. Everybody watched as the cracks widened, but they were only limited to the area within the mine. The ground outside remained intact. For instance, the area where Elder Dongfang and her people were standing was perfectly fine. "Come over here." Elder Wu told everybody to move away from that area. Elder Helion had gone to help Feng Wu. The others had better stay out of his way. Yang Zhihu was worried sick as he looked at the hole in which Feng Wu had disappeared. Feng Wu was such a lovely girl. Yes, she ate a lot, but that was her only shortcoming. Why was she still hungry? Seeing Feng Wu fall into that hole, Dongfang Ziyun was exhilarated. She almost jumped to her feet. Feng Wu is dead. She must be. But she heard the sound of rippling water. Was there water under this mine? Did that mean Feng Wu would survive? The smile froze on Dongfang Ziyun's face. The cracks continued to widen. Thump! The drained essence crystals fell into the hole in large chunks, like pieces of iceberg falling into the ocean. The essence crystals made splashing sounds as they fell. So, there's water underneath. Dongfang Ziyun pursed her lips and whispered, "I wonder if there's a powerful whirlpool. If there was, Feng Wu might still die." The idea excited her. She wanted to share it with her aunt, but stopped halfway. Her aunt didn't seem too happy. When Dongfang Ziyun looked at the other elders, she realized their faces had darkened as well. What was going on? She suddenly felt uneasy. Dongfang Ziyun looked at the elders of Imperial College and saw Elder Wu's cheeks trembling. "Aunt." Dongfang Ziyun grabbed her aunt's hand, feeling her knees weaken. "What's wrong? Isn't that a dark green river?" Elder Dongfang held Dongfang Ziyun's hand. Blue veins popped on the back of her hand from agitation. The grip was so tight that Dongfang Ziyun was in tears. "Is that an essence liquid river?" Elder Dai asked in a shaking voice. "Essence liquid? Was that liquefied essence crystals? Was it easier to absorb than essence crystals?" Dongfang Ziyun was so jealous that her eyes spat fire. In fact, all the elders of the military academy felt the same way. Elder Dongfang's lips trembled as she said, "It's not just essence liquid. More than essence liquid. What is it?" Everybody, including the elders of Imperial College, looked at Elder Dongfang curiously. Chapter 3158. 3158 Elder Helion has fainted. 3158 Elder Helion has fainted. They all thought it was essence liquid, the type that was easier to absorb than essence crystals. Wasn't it? Elder Dongfang didn't say a word. However, her eyes revealed how she really felt. She was so jealous that she almost lost her mind. What kind of liquid was this? Everybody stared nervously at the river. The spiritual essence was so dense. Was it from something more than essence liquid? However, Elder Dongfang didn't say a word. She looked like she wanted to kill someone, especially when she stared at Dongfang Ziyun. Dongfang Ziyun felt that her aunt had been angry at her ever since this river surfaced. She began to panic. Just then, two heads popped out of the river. One was Elder Helion, and the other was Feng Wu. To everybody's astonishment, it was Feng Wu who was dragging Elder Helion out of the river. She smiled wryly when she reached the shore. "Give me a hand." Only then did Elder Wu and the others realize what was going on and dragged Elder Helion out of the river. Feng Wu wiped her face and turned around. What project? The essence crystal mine had collapsed because of her, and an essence river had surfaced. What's wrong with Elder Helion? Elder Wu was worried. Did he suffocate in the river? Elder Imo mumbled. Elder Wu looked at him in helplessness. Elder Helion was a spiritual overlord. How could he suffocate in a river? Elder Helion specializes in the water element. How can he suffocate in a river? Don't make me laugh. Elder Wu snapped. That was right. Elder Helion specialized in the water element. So what happened? Elder Dongfang stared at Elder Helion. She knew why he had fainted. He was too excited. She was about to faint from her rage, too. Elder Wu and the others looked at Feng Wu in expectation, waiting for an explanation, but Feng Wu shrugged. "I have no idea. I fell into the water, and before I knew it, Elder Helion jumped in. He then smelled and tasted the liquid to examine it. He suddenly trembled and fainted. Feng Wu thought for a moment and added, "I've checked his pulse. His blood pressure is a little higher, but there's nothing wrong with him. As for why he fainted, my conclusion is—" All eyes were on Feng Wu. Feng Wu said earnestly, "He fainted because he was too emotional." Elder Wu said, "But Elder Hellion is a peak spiritual overlord. How could he be too emotional? That didn't sound like him at all. If he were so easily disturbed, he wouldn't have become a peak spiritual overlord. Therefore, are you sure about your conclusion?" Elder Wu questioned Feng Wu's medical skills. Feng Wu shrugged. Even she began to question her skills. Just then, Elder Hellion slowly woke up. He opened his eyes and met everybody's gazes. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he burst into laughter. His laughter could bring down the roof. Chapter 3159. 3159, 3 Lucky Draws. 3159, 3 Lucky Draws. The entire fortress could hear him. Those who were around Elder Hellion found their ears buzzing. Had Elder Hellion lost his mind? Only Elder Dongsang understood Elder Hellion's behavior. She knew why Elder Hellion was laughing, which was why she appeared so unhappy. Elder Hellion finally stopped laughing. He wiped away his tears and gradually calmed down. He patted Feng Wu on the head. "Good girl." However, he didn't control his strength well because of his excitement. Thump! Poor little Feng Wu fell into the river again. Elder Hellion was scared out of his wits and immediately scooped her out of the water. Feng Wu felt dizzy and could see stars. After being dunked in the water, her skin seemed fairer than before. Elder Hellion decided to reveal the truth. He rubbed Feng Wu's head apologetically and told the others, "It's not essence liquid. It's all-purpose tri-transformation liquid." When the other elders heard this, their eyes all lit up. "OMG, all-purpose tri-transformation liquid. Are you sure? Is this really all-purpose tri-transformation liquid? That's amazing. Feng Wu, you found a treasure." Elder Wu also patted Feng Wu on the shoulder, his eyes unbelievably bright. The elders of Imperial College all burst into tears of excitement, but the elders of the military academy were so jealous that their eyes were bloodshot red. It looked like their eyes were bleeding. Feng Wu was confused. All the elders seemed to know what that liquid was, but why hadn't she heard about it before? Feng Wu immediately asked the question. "Yes, all-purpose transformation liquid." Elder Hellion felt he had gotten his revenge when he saw Elder Dongfang's darkened face. He rubbed Feng Wu's head in satisfaction. He now realized how much they had endured at the hands of the military academy until Feng Wu showed up. After that, things turned around. "You're our savior." Elder Hellion praised Feng Wu. The name has all-purpose in it, which means it works on all living creatures. The tri means each creature has 3 opportunities to change their natural endowment in this liquid. Some people can gain new skills, some people will have enhanced physical strength, and some can obtain more spiritual essence. It works the same on magical plants and beasts. Each individual can transform 3 times. In plain terms, anyone can pick 3 lucky draws. Elder Hellion couldn't stop laughing. "I only fell into the river for a moment, but the progress I made was more than what dozens of years of practice can do." All the elders looked at Elder Hellion in envy. "Dozens of years? That was terrific." Elder Hellion said, "That was what happened to me. You may not be as lucky as I was." No matter what, 3 lucky draws were still 3 great opportunities that could make a great difference to one's cultivation. Chapter 3160. 3160 My number 3 used to be ours. 3160 My number 3 used to be ours. Everybody looked at Feng Wu as if she had descended from heaven. Why was she so adorable? Elder Hellion went on. The energy in this all-purpose tri-transformation liquid is limited. Only a finite number of people can enjoy the 3 lucky draws. Once the special substance is used up, the dark green liquid will turn light green, which is the color or essence crystals. When that happens, this liquid will deteriorate and become essence liquid. Even when that happens, it'll still be an extremely valuable resource. It'll be much easier to absorb than essence crystals. With a pool of essence liquid, Imperial College will have a never-ending flow of geniuses. That was why Elder Hellion had fainted from excitement. The liquid could help more than a handful of people. It would help Imperial College to crush the military academy. It could even help the Junwu Empire's fortress defeat the Dongseng kingdoms. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. I didn't know it was so useful. Yang Jihu was astonished. He sat on the ground and couldn't recover from the shock after a long while. A few minutes before, he was worried about not having enough food to feed Feng Wu. However, she simply sat down and found them a new treasure. He wondered if he was dreaming. He suddenly realized that ever since Feng Wu showed up in the colonel's quarters, everything around him seemed to have turned into a fantasy, and his world had turned upside down. Dongfang Ziyan finally found out why her aunt had that murderous look on her face. Feng Wu had taken mine number 3 because of Dongfang Ziyan. Miss Dongfang really wanted to cry now. The Dongfang family could live with the loss of a mine, but Feng Wu had just found this all-purpose tri-transformation liquid. 3 lucky draws. Elder Hellion gained dozens of years of experience in just one go. Jealousy could twist one's mind, but it could also give one courage. Dongfang Ziyan walked up to Elder Hellion and kept her gaze on him. Elder Hellion, this mine doesn't really belong to Imperial College. Hearing this, the elders of Imperial College became nervous. Elder Hellion immediately spoke to his shoulder badge. Attention, all elders, come to mine number 3 right now. Will the schoolmaster come to mine number 3, please? General, please come to mine number 3 immediately. Elder Hellion's loud command made Dongfang Ziyan jump, as she involuntarily stepped back. Why was he making such a big fuss? Elder Dongfang stared at Elder Hellion. They're confronting the Dongseng kingdom now. You're distracting them. Elder Hellion said, as far as I know, there's a temporary truce. I don't know when the battle will resume, but nothing is going on right now. Elder Dongfang ground her teeth and stared at Elder Hellion. She wanted to take the mine by force, but it wouldn't be so easy now. But this mine used to belong to Military Academy. Elder Dongfang ground her teeth. Chapter 3161. 3161, take Feng Wu away. 3161, take Feng Wu away. But this mine used to belong to the Military Academy. Elder Dongfang ground her teeth. Elder Hellion turned his cold gaze on Elder Dongfang. Are you going to fight with us over this mine? Elder Dongfang said, I told you. This mine used to be the Military Academy's. Elder Hellion said, it's like you said. It used to be yours, but it's ours now. Elder Dongfang glared at Elder Hellion. What was wrong with this man? He wasn't so aggressive before. She didn't think she was his match now. Seeing that her elders had almost all arrived, Elder Dongfang turned to Dongfang Ziyan. You should leave. Dongfang Ziyan said, and I. Elder Dongfang's face darkened, and she snapped at her niece. Leave. Dongfang Ziyan grew uneasy, feeling that a battle was about to break out. She gave Elder Dongfang a long look before taking off. Elder Hellion also turned to Feng Wu. Kiddo, you should leave too. Feng Wu said, what? She hadn't met the legendary general yet. She knew Mr. Liu, the schoolmaster of the Imperial College. However, the general was such a mysterious person that she still hadn't met him even once. Elder Hellion had never seemed so stern before. Feng Wu said, it seemed Elder Hellion was serious. Elder Dongfang wanted to take the mine by force, and Elder Hellion wouldn't let her. A battle might break out anytime soon. Seeing that Feng Wu wouldn't move, Elder Hellion bellowed, Yang Jihu, take her away. Just then, Feng Wu said, wait. She took out the Phoenix pen and wrote a large lock above the all-purpose transformation liquid. Everybody thought she had lost her mind. Did she think she could seal off this liquid in that way? How childish. Elder Hellion didn't believe it would work. Elder Dongfang snorted as well. She was glad Dongfang Ziyun was an obedient girl and left the scene when she was given the order. As for the all-purpose transformation liquid, Elder Dongfang had hatched a plan. No one knew if the military academy could take a portion of the liquid when the general arrived. Since they had so many elders here, the capable ones could jump into the liquid now. Imperial College couldn't ask them to pay for it, could they? She decided not to play by the book. Elder Dongfang was experienced enough to hatch this shameless plan, but she had no idea that Feng Wu could easily outwit her. The lock, written with the phoenix pen, sealed the all-purpose transformation liquid in a dome. To make a perfect seal, a formation had to be carefully set up, which would take at least a few hours. There wasn't enough time, which was why Feng Wu used the phoenix pen. The inscription could withstand 3 strikes. After that, the invisible dome would shatter. That should keep the liquid safe until the bosses arrive, thought Feng Wu. Yang Jihu, Elder Hellion, didn't know what Feng Wu had done and thought she was being disobedient, so he bellowed at Yang Jihu. Yang Jihu immediately took action. He grabbed Feng Wu and carried her out of harm's way. As soon as they dashed off, Elder Hellion and Elder Dongfang moved. So did their subordinates. Chapter 3162. 3162, Where's the Military Law? 3162, Where's the Military Law? Yang Jihu's eyes almost turned red. He anxiously clenched his fists, but there was nothing he could do. He was a peak level 9 spiritual king and only a step away from becoming a spiritual overlord. However, he had been stuck at his current level for so many years. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make a breakthrough. He could only watch his elders fight and was unable to participate. Held by Yang Jihu, Feng Wu looked over her shoulder and saw the elders fighting fiercely. It was a battle of elites. From afar, they looked like moving dots of light, and their speed was incredible. Don't worry, no one will die. Yang Jihu saw Feng Wu was worried and patted her on the head. The elders are allowed to fight, but they're forbidden to severely injure or kill one another. We don't have many elders. If we begin to kill each other, we won't be able to fend off the Dongsang kingdom anymore. Why are you so anxious then? Feng Wu asked curiously. Yang Jihu said, I'm worried about the all-purpose transformation liquid. Elder Dongfang is a cunning person. She's trying to trick us. Feng Wu gave him a mysterious smile. Are you trying to tell me Elder Dongfang started this battle on purpose, so that her elders could accidentally fall into the all-purpose transformation liquid while fighting? Yang Jihu clenched his fists in anger. That's right. That's Elder Dongfang's plan. If they fall into the liquid during the battle, they'll look perfectly innocent and claim they didn't mean to. In that case, they can absorb the all-purpose transformation liquid and still look like the good guys. Damn those people. Yang Jihu became even angrier. However, Feng Wu couldn't help but chuckle. Why are you laughing? Yang Jihu looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Feng Wu smiled. Didn't you see what I wrote just then? I've sealed off the all-purpose transformation liquid. She patted Yang Jihu on the shoulder. Jihu, none of the military academy's elders can get in. Yang Jihu looked at her in resignation, thinking the girl was trying to look more mature than she really was. However, he rubbed his temple and reminded himself that apart from her big appetite, the girl's most noticeable feature was her bragging. Before Yang Jihu could say anything, Feng Wu caught up with him and walked by his side. The lock wasn't the only thing I wrote. There was also thunder, but it was tiny, and I don't think they'll notice it. Luckily, the seal is above the all-purpose transformation liquid, and the energy source is endless. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to write the inscriptions in one go. Feng Wu looked at her phoenix pen. Finally, I found the right place to use it. Yang Jihu looked up at the sky. There, she was bragging again. Who would believe her? While Feng Wu was trying to catch up with Yang Jihu, she saw someone walking toward them. It was Yin Han. Yin Han frowned when she saw Feng Wu walking side by side with Yang Jihu. She thought Yang Jihu had promised her that he would punish Feng Wu as demanded by military law. Shouldn't she be whipped 80 times? Why was she still jumping around like a monkey? Since when did they become so close? If one didn't know better, they would think these two were father and daughter. Yin Han suppressed her anger and walked toward the two people. Chapter 3163. 3163, Everybody's Favorite. 3163, Everybody's Favorite. When Yin Han saw how close Yang Jihu and Feng Wu were, she was filled with jealousy. However, she still managed to put on a friendly smile. Mr. Yang. Yin Han smiled. Why are you together? Yang Jihu didn't like that question. He was taking Feng Wu to dinner, which was none of Yin Han's business. Yang Jihu never tried to hide his feelings. He cast a stern look at Yin Han, gave her a nod, and was going to lead Feng Wu inside. He was going to give Feng Wu a long speech. A pretty girl like her shouldn't brag all the time. It wasn't right. However, Yin Han wouldn't be dismissed so easily. She was devastated when she saw how much Yang Jihu wanted to get rid of her. Oh God, she was supposed to be the princess of the colonel's quarters. Everybody should dote on her. She should be everyone's favorite. However, everything changed since Feng Wu came here. Feng Sun and Xian, he hadn't come back yet, so she didn't know about them, but none of the other colonels seemed to like her anymore. Even Han Lu and Gao Ye, who were still bedridden, weren't happy to see her. Yin Han felt defeated. She looked eagerly at Yang Jihu. Mr. Yang Jihu, did I do something wrong? Is this why you're all like this? Yang Jihu turned around in bewilderment. What? He had no idea what was going on. Yin Han said, None of you like me anymore. Yang Jihu's face darkened. He wasn't good at comforting girls. Yin Han was a tall and strong young woman. Feng Wu, on the other hand, was only a teenager. However, she was much tougher than she seemed. When Elder Hellion smacked her into the essence liquid, she climbed out all by herself without shedding a tear. Why was Yin Han? Yang Jihu looked at Feng Wu, feeling troubled, but Feng Wu only shrugged. There was nothing she could do. Yin Han sobbed for a while before making a promise. I'll be a better precious yin in the future. Mr. Yang, will you like me now? Yang Jihu got a headache. What was she talking about? They were in the middle of a battle. She should focus on her cultivation and become a better fighter. Seeing Yang Jihu frown, Yin Han changed the subject. When I left the colonel's quarters, Wang Zhaola said, we didn't have enough essence crystals. Mr. Yang, what happened? I thought we had collected 1,000 essence crystals for everybody's cultivation. Yin Han knew this because her grandfather was an elder. That was whom she had learned this from. Hearing that, Yang Jihu glanced at Feng Wu. Are you still hungry? Feng Wu rubbed her stomach. Not at the moment. God knew how much all-purpose transformation liquid she had swallowed. Moreover, she had put quite a lot in her storage space. Feng Wu had 2 spiritual pets and a spiritual plant. She didn't know what they would get in the 3 lucky draws and was looking forward to seeing the results. With so many people around, Feng Wu couldn't check the situation now. Yin Han looked at them in bewilderment. Hungry? What were they talking about? She felt left out. She looked at Feng Wu and feigned a casual tone. Miss Feng Wu, I heard you used up all the essence crystals in the colonel's quarters. Is that true? Chapter 3164. 3164 Born to be Mean. 3164 Born to be Mean. Feng Wu looked at Yin Han in surprise. What was that? Why was this woman bringing her into the discussion again? Yin Han smiled at Feng Wu, but the look in her eyes was rather sinister. Miss Feng Wu, you're new here, so you have a lot to learn, Yin Han said slowly. Essence crystals are very important to cultivators like us. They have to be taken seriously because they're more important than our lives. She tried to sound soft and gentle, but compared with Feng Wu's naturally sweet voice, hers was ridiculous. Feng Wu only smiled at her, but didn't say anything. She wanted to know what Yin Han was getting at. Yin Han looked like a senior sister reprimanding her ignorant junior sister. We don't have a lot of essence crystal mines, and each crystal is very precious to us. Be a good girl and return the essence crystals you took from us. Feng Wu didn't say anything, but Yang Jihu was displeased. 1,000 essence crystals were nothing compared with what Feng Wu had given them in return. Before, each crystal was very precious to Imperial College, but now they could use essence liquid by the bottle. Yang Jihu stared at Yinhan. That's enough. This woman was humiliating herself. Yinhan didn't know that Yang Jihu was trying to help her. Instead, she thought he was taking Feng Wu's side and almost burst into tears. Mr. Yang, I know Miss Feng Wu is a lovely girl, but she has taken so many essence crystals. They're very important to us. Yang Jihu grew impatient. What was she doing? Would she ever stop? Yinhan, work on your cultivation or inscriptions, Yang Jihu said sternly. However, Yinhan wanted to finish the job. She ground her teeth and said, Mr. Yang, I can cultivate whenever I want to, and I'm a great inscription master. I'm level 4 already. After showing off her inscription skills, Yinhan reminded Yang Jihu, Mr. Yang, have you forgotten about the military law you mentioned? Yang Jihu rubbed his temple and told Feng Wu, Xiao Wu, you can take a break now. Feng Wu nodded, made a face at Yinhan, and happily walked away. Did she make a face at me? Why is she so smug? Is she provoking me? Yinhan wanted to tear Feng Wu apart. Yang Jihu couldn't understand how someone could be born to be so mean. Yang Jihu kept his gaze on Yinhan and stressed each word. Yinhan, I didn't want to say this, but you simply wouldn't let it go, so I have to say something. It's about Feng Wu. Yang Jihu pointed at Feng Wu, who was walking away. She's someone you can't afford to offend. Your level 4 inscriptions are nothing. You should stay away from her even if you're a level 8 inscription master. Yinhan's face suddenly lost all color. She bit her lower lip and wouldn't accept it. Yang Jihu said, You should believe me. All you need to know is 1,000 essence crystals are nothing. Feng Wu can earn 1,000,000 times more than that for our school. Do you believe that? I guess the answer is no. Yang Jihu shook his head. Go to the seclusion room and stay there for 3 days. Come out once you've cleared your head. Yinhan was devastated. You're all bullying me. Wang Zhaola. Yang Jihu frowned and stopped the first person who walked past him. Walk her to the seclusion room. Don't let her come out for the next 3 days. If Yinhan still couldn't figure out what she did wrong, Yang Jihu would have to talk to Elder Yin in person. Targeting Feng Wu all the time wouldn't help Yinhan at all. At the same moment, Feng Wu... Chapter 3165. 3165 Feng Wu in a bad mood. 3165 Feng Wu in a bad mood. Feng Wu didn't know Yinhan was talking behind her back, nor did she know Yang Jihu had defended her. Right now, she was sitting on the stairs with her chin in her hands, deep in thought. She had a lot to do. She did some calculations and realized that the second immortal spiritual fruit would ripen in 6 days. She had to get that fruit because she owed it to Bao Air. After what happened last time, Sakia would only guard the fruit more closely. The task would be very hard. There were also the 12 trials of love. She was stuck on the 11th trial. Zhuo Wan was the main reason. Feng Wu couldn't understand why that woman was so stubborn. She simply wouldn't admit that Jun Linyuan was in love with Feng Wu. She and Jun Linyuan might need to play the loving couple in front of Zhuo Wan to force the latter to face reality. She had to complete the 11th trial. If Zhuo Wan disappeared, Feng Wu would be stuck here. If that happened, she didn't know when her beautiful master would wake up. She had to hurry up. However, Jun Linyuan was cultivating his mysterious bloodline. Feng Wu wondered if he had finished. She immediately took action and went to Jun Linyuan's place. But he hadn't. Feng was guarding the door. The last time he was away, Jun Linyuan was injured. Because of that, he wouldn't leave Jun Linyuan's side after he came back. Feng gestured at Feng Wu, asking her to be quiet. Still nothing. Feng solemnly shook his head. The last time they met, Feng Wu had been in the Dayless Woods and in the middle of a breakthrough. Would the all-purpose transformation liquid help Jun Linyuan? Feng Wu asked curiously. Feng thought about it and shook his head. Spiritual saints don't really need it. Feng Wu nodded in disappointment. She wanted to ask some questions, but kept her silence when she saw how cautious Feng was. I'll come back in a few days. Feng Wu said goodbye to Feng. Without Jun Lin Yuan, she couldn't work on the 11th trial or the second immortal spiritual fruit. That could be a little troublesome. Feng Wu thought about the all-purpose transformation liquid. She was the one to discover that liquid. The last thing she wanted was to let the military academy take it away. At first, she didn't think it would happen, but Elder Hellion was such an honest and upright person that she didn't have any confidence in him. Feng Wu immediately went to see Elder Hellion, and she actually found him. Feng Wu had visited Elder Hellion quite often, so his servant didn't stop her. She entered the room to find the mood inside rather awkward. Elder Hellion sat in the host's seat, and 15 spiritual overlords sat around an oval table. They seemed to be arguing about something. Feng Wu heard Elder Wu protest. No, no way. Feng Wu found the all-purpose transformation liquid. Why should we give half of it to the military academy? They've never shared their minds with us. What? The military academy wanted half of the all-purpose transformation liquid? Feng Wu didn't like the sound of that at all. Chapter 3166. 3166 Angry Feng Wu. 3166 Angry Feng Wu. What? The military academy wanted half of the all-purpose transformation liquid. Feng Wu didn't like the sound of that at all. She pushed the door open. Elder Wu seemed embarrassed to see her. Since Elder Hellion was sitting in the host's seat, Feng Wu walked up to him, stopped, and kept her gaze on the elderly man. Elder Hellion almost couldn't meet her eyes. He couldn't understand why Feng Wu, a level 5, no, level 6 spiritual king, could make him feel this way. What? Feng Wu stared at Elder Hellion, the look in her eyes stern and intimidating. Elder Hellion sighed. The decision came from above us. Feng Wu said, "Didn't you try to argue with him?" Elder Hellion rubbed his eye, which had been bruised from Elder Dongfang's blow. He heaved a long sigh. "I did, but..." Seeing all the elders prick up their ears, Elder Hellion stared at Feng Wu. "Come with me." He wanted to talk to Feng Wu in private to calm her down, but Feng Wu stood there and sneered at him. "I'm not going anywhere. If you have anything to say, say it now." Elder Hellion stared at Feng Wu, but Feng Wu put her hands behind her back and looked more intimidating than him. Elder Hellion was speechless. He had no choice but to tell her. It was Mr. Lu's decision. Feng Wu sneered at him. Elder Hellion had to tell her more. According to our superiors, the military academy has more elders and more talented students. Letting them use the liquid can maximize benefits for the entire fortress. We have to see the big picture. Feng Wu smiled. If the military academy was the one who found the all-purpose transformation liquid, would they give us half of it? Before Elder Hellion said anything, Elder Wu almost jumped to his feet. "Half of it? You're so naive. They wouldn't give us so much as a bottle." Elder Mo said, "When they had 4 crystal mines, did they ever give us any essence crystals? We had to tighten our belts and live on what we had." Feng Wu stared at Elder Hellion, who smiled wryly but nodded at her. Elder Wu was right. Feng Wu thought she was going to explode. "That's not fair." Feng Wu's face turned red, and she glared at Elder Hellion. "That's so unfair. Why should we give them half when they wouldn't share with us? What kind of rule is that? I won't accept it." Elder Hellion sighed. "No, it isn't fair, but we don't have a choice." Feng Wu said, "You don't have a choice." "I do." She turned to leave. "Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu." Elder Hellion ran out of the room and stopped her. "His Royal Highness isn't around at the moment. Please don't cause any trouble." Feng Wu said, "Cause trouble? The trouble is already here." Elder Hellion said, "I mean it. His Royal Highness isn't here, and I don't think I can keep you safe." Feng Wu said angrily, "I don't need you to keep me safe. No one can take the all-purpose transformation liquid without my permission. I'm the one who found it." Chapter 3167. 3167 Angry Phone Wu 2. 3167 Angry Phone Wu 2. Phone Wu stormed out after that. She had to see Mr. Lu now. Seeing Phone Wu leave, the other elders were a little worried about her. Elder Yin smiled wryly, thinking that Phone Wu was the same as Yin Han. He thought they were both spoiled and willful kids. Mr. Lu doesn't exactly have a good temper, Elder Wu told Elder Hellion. We don't want her to offend him. Elder Emo said, I'm very angry about what happened. They keep telling us to see the big picture, but the military academy never gave us any support when we needed essence crystals. Elder Yin sighed. I don't think Mr. Lu will let Xiao Wu see him. With Emperor Wu's token, of course, Phone Wu could see Mr. Lu. She was stopped at the front gate at first, but when she showed them the token, no one tried to stop her again. It was a courtyard at the center of the fortress. The gate was guarded, but no one dared to stop the angry girl with the Emperor's token. Mr. Lu was playing chess in the courtyard. It wasn't just him. A man sat opposite him. His opponent was also an elderly man. That man had a tough look and was obviously from the military. Seeing Phone Wu charge toward him, Mr. Lu smiled bitterly. Elder Hellion had mentioned it before, so he knew why Phone Wu was here. Xiao Wu, I didn't expect to see you here. Mr. Lu waved at Phone Wu. Phone Wu wanted to speak, but Mr. Lu said mildly, take a seat and watch us play. Just like Junlin Yuan, Mr. Lu was a capable spiritual saint. Phone Wu didn't know his exact level, but he was indeed a spiritual saint, and there were only a handful of them in the entire Imperial capital. She was furious, but with Mr. Lu's intervention, she couldn't lash out. Without any other choice, she could only sit on a chair, rest her chin on her hands, and glare at Mr. Lu. The person opposite Mr. Lu was none other than Mr. Su, the schoolmaster of the military academy. Mr. Su concentrated on the chessboard and acted as if Phone Wu wasn't there. To him, she was only one of the insignificant students of Imperial College. A colonel, a senior member like him, was several ranks higher than a colonel. He didn't think Phone Wu mattered at all. Therefore, he didn't so much as glance at her. Phone Wu looked from Mr. Lu to Mr. Su. She was furious when she arrived, but after sitting down, she calmed down a little. She realized that Mr. Lu must have agreed to give half of the liquid to Mr. Su because the latter had offered something to Mr. Lu or Imperial College in return. However, they were still messing with her things without her permission. Phone Wu couldn't stand it. She didn't know much about Mr. Su, but had heard that he was a rigid and strict military man who had incredible physical strength. More importantly, he had been the head of Emperor Wu's Imperial Guards before he was appointed as head of the military academy. Phone Wu rubbed her chin as her brain raced. If she rushed to take action, she wouldn't gain anything and would only become more frustrated. Her gaze slowly moved to the chessboard. Her chess skills. Chapter 3168. 3168 Angry Phone Wu 3. 3168 Angry Phone Wu 3. Her chess skills. Her beautiful master had trained her for years since she was little. Needless to say, she was a great player. She immediately saw that Mr. Lu wasn't Mr. Su's match at all. In a few moves, Mr. Su would win. Resting her chin on her hands, Phone Wu studied the game. Mr. Lu, is this a bet? Mr. Lu said casually, yes. What's at stake? Mr. Lu glanced at Phone Wu. The all-purpose transformation liquid. Phone Wu was infuriated. This man didn't cherish other people's hard work at all. It had taken her some painstaking effort to find the all-purpose transformation liquid. He couldn't play the generous man and give it away. Phone Wu smirked. Do you think the all-purpose transformation liquid is yours? Why do you think you have the right to give it away? Her voice was loud enough for everybody to hear. Mr. Lu was astonished. So was Mr. Su. They were both top-ranking officials and two of the most influential people in the Junwo Empire. Even Emperor Wu wouldn't speak to them that way, but a mere colonel had just reprimanded them. What a day. Mister. Su looked at Mr. Lu in bewilderment, wondering why the latter didn't kill this colonel on the spot. Mr. Lu would have done so if Feng Wu were an ordinary colonel, but she was a lovely girl. Moreover, Mr. Lu had watched Feng Wu grow up and knew how capable she was. Earlier, Elder Hellion even told him that Feng Wu was a semi-divine medicine refiner and a level 6 spiritual king, which had shocked Mr. Lu. But on second thought, he realized it wasn't all that surprising since it was Feng Wu. Feng Wu stared at Mr. Lu. That liquid is mine, and only I can give it away. No one else is allowed to do so. How arrogant, how bossy, how willful. Those were the words which popped into Mr. Su's head when he looked at the pretty girl. He shook his head, and his impression of Feng Wu changed drastically. Mr. Lu felt awkward and tried to reason with Feng Wu. Xiao Wu, Feng Wu said. I said no. Mr. Lu said, I think. Feng Wu bellowed. I don't care what you think. The only thing that matters is what I think. I won't allow you to give it away. Mr. Lu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Since when did this girl become so irritable? She used to be so adorable. Mr. Su glanced at Feng Wu, unable to stand her anymore. You're an interesting girl. Feng Wu sneered at him. You're an interesting, greedy schoolmaster. Seeing Mr. Su's astonished expression, Mr. Lu almost spat out his tea. Su, you never saw this coming, did you? Mr. Su had always been a rigid and serious man. Even when he wasn't angry, many people were still afraid of him. Apart from Emperor Wu and Jun Lin Yuan, no one dared speak to him in this way, and he was rather displeased. However, his opponent was only a girl. As soon as he stared at her, she took off her badge, indicating she wasn't talking to him as a colonel in the fortress. Would he have to argue with a civilian girl? Mr. Su had never been in such an unconventional situation before, and for a while, he didn't know what to do. Seeing this, Mr. Lu laughed wholeheartedly. Chapter 3169. 3169 Angry Feng Wu 4. 3169 Angry Feng Wu 4. Su, you never thought this would happen to you, did you? Mr. Lu pointed at Mr. Lu and laughed. Many of the elders of Imperial College waited outside the courtyard and gingerly eavesdropped on the conversation. They were here because they were worried about Feng Wu, but the fear of Mr. Lu stopped them from going inside. The protection barrier around the courtyard was soundproof. People outside couldn't hear the conversation inside when Feng Wu and the two schoolmasters spoke in their normal voices. However, the barrier couldn't block Mr. Lu's laughter. Elder Hellion and the others were dumbfounded when they heard it. What was going on inside? Was the laughter so loud because Xiao Wu was dead? Meanwhile, Mr. Su kept his cold gaze on Feng Wu, trying to bring her to her knees. But Feng Wu was a clever girl. When she felt the tremendous force that was trying to make her kneel, she took out a token. It was equivalent to having the owner of the token here. That was Emperor Wu's token, which couldn't be used casually because it would be disrespectful to Emperor Wu, and Feng Wu would appear to be abusing her power and using it to bully other people. If Emperor Wu heard that, he would have a bad impression of Feng Wu and wouldn't treat her so nicely. Therefore, the token could only be used in critical moments such as now. Feng Wu was far inferior to Mr. Su, both in her capability and her military rank, but she had this secret weapon. She took out the token, showed it to Mr. Su, and smirked. Do you want His Majesty to kneel? Of course, Mr. Su wouldn't dare do that, so he stopped putting pressure on Feng Wu, but his cold gaze stayed on her. It was such an intimidating look. Feng Wu held the token in her right hand and returned his gaze, showing no fear. There was a huge gap between their military ranks and cultivation levels, but the energy they gave off was equally fierce. Mr. Lu's expression changed as he studied Feng Wu. They hadn't met for a while, so he still thought of Feng Wu as the little girl he used to know. He thought he could easily brush her aside like coaxing a baby with some sweets. However, he realized he had to face reality now. Feng Wu was no longer the girl with no cultivation ability who couldn't get into Imperial College. So much had happened to her in the past year. She was now a semi-divine medicine refiner and a level 6 spiritual king. The Crown Prince and Emperor Wu were both her patrons. Mr. Liu realized he couldn't coax Feng Wu anymore. Rather, he had to treat her as an equal because that was the right choice. Mr. Liu's attitude quickly changed, but Mr. Su's attitude didn't because he didn't know Feng Wu well. Still, he was shocked by her reaction. He had no idea that such a young student could give off such a powerful aura. Only the royal family could exude such confidence, but she wasn't a princess. Mr. Su still stared at Feng Wu, but he didn't increase the pressure on her. The energy he brought to bear on Feng Wu was equivalent to that of a level 8 spiritual king. What a strange girl. Feng Wu stared at him and smirked. Mr. Su threw a dirty look at her before he pulled back his spiritual essence. Chapter 3170. 3170. The Elders' Different Levels. 3170. The Elders' Different Levels. Mr. Su thought, so what if she has an impressive aura? She's not even a spiritual overlord yet. At that moment, Feng Wu turned to Mr. Liu. If he loses, we won't have to give him half of the all-purpose transformation liquid, correct? Mr. Liu nodded. That's right. Feng Wu said, you're not good enough. Let me play against him. Mr. Su frowned. An educated man shouldn't talk during chess game. Feng Wu snapped at him. I'm not a man. I'm a girl. Mr. Su rubbed his temple. This girl was giving him a headache. He decided not to argue with the girl. Mr. Su stared at Mr. Liu, hoping the latter could get rid of Feng Wu. However, Mr. Liu didn't know what to do either because Feng Wu was an expert at making trouble. Mr. Liu said patiently, Xiao Wu, we have to see the big picture. Don't be so narrow-minded. Feng Wu smirked. Mr. Liu said, if I had a choice, I wouldn't want to give the liquid away. Do you think I like this decision? He tried to reason with her. What do you think this fortress is for? Feng Wu crossed her arms and wouldn't respond to that question. Mr. Liu could only keep talking. The Imperial College has 36 elders, and 25 are here in the fortress, right? The Military Academy has 41 elders, and 25 are here. What about the Dongsang Kingdom? They also have 50 elders here at the border. Do you know why both sides can only have 50 elders? Do you know why the other elders aren't here? That's because the two sides have agreed to have an equal number of spiritual overlords here on the border. Mr. Liu said patiently, here's the thing. The number is fixed, but the spiritual overlord stage has 9 levels. Feng Wu snorted but didn't answer. Mr. Liu said, if all our spiritual overlords can rise by 1 level, the force of the entire fortress will improve. That made sense, but Feng Wu didn't like it. Let me ask you a question. They're asking us to see the big picture. If it was the Military Academy who found the all-purpose transformation liquid, would they give it to us? Feng Wu stared at the Military Academy. Mr. Liu couldn't answer that question, so he turned to Mr. Su. Mr. Su didn't like the question, so he said coldly, we wouldn't keep it to ourselves. Feng Wu asked, how much would you give Imperial College then? Before Mr. Su could answer, Feng Wu smirked. You're a schoolmaster. I have faith in your honesty. Mr. Liu rubbed his temple. One impressive girl. When she said that, Mr. Su had to tell the truth. As expected, Mr. Su said, of the 25 elders from the Military Academy, 10 are junior spiritual overlords, 10 are intermediate ones, for senior ones, and 1 is a peak spiritual overlord. Feng Wu knew the peak one was Elder Dongfang. Mr. Su continued, Imperial College has 15 junior spiritual overlords, 7 intermediate ones, 2 senior ones, and 1 peak spiritual overlord. Feng Wu frowned a little. Overall, Imperial College was inferior to the Military Academy. No wonder Elder Hellion had to report to Mr. Liu when the all-purpose transformation liquid was discovered. Chapter 3171. 3171 Viva la Feng Wu. 3171 Viva la Feng Wu. Based on that ratio, we would have given you 30%, Mr. Su said solemnly. Blue veins popped on Feng Wu's forehead. You're taking half of our all-purpose transformation liquid, but if you found it, you would only give us 30%. Uncontrollable fury filled Feng Wu's chest. However, Mr. Su said indifferently, you should be grateful that we're not taking 70% now. Grateful? Go to hell. Feng Wu had never been so angry before. She slammed her palm on the chessboard and seemed to have turned into a ball of angry flames. Staring at Mr. Su, she smirked. 70%? I won't even give you 10%. Mr. Su frowned. Why was this girl so unreasonable? He was being very patient with her because she had His Majesty's token. Why was she so stubborn? He glanced at Mr. Liu, asking the latter to discipline the girl. Mr. Liu felt conflicted. Didn't he want to keep everything? Of course he did. But he couldn't. He was told to see the big picture. What choice did he have? He could only tell Feng Wu, Xiao Wu, you're not a kid anymore. You have to see the big picture. To hell with the big picture. Feng Wu lost her temper and no longer cared about her choice of words. Mr. Liu was astonished. The girl had to be extremely angry to lose control like this. Feng Wu stared at the two schoolmasters. You two schoolmasters seem to be having a good time playing chess here. I found the liquid, but you're openly discussing ownership of it now. Who gave you that right? You should be ashamed of yourselves. See the big picture? See my ass. Without me, you would never have known that the all-purpose transformation liquid was underneath the mine. At your speed, it would have been 10,000 years before you dug through that layer. The two men were so angry that even their beards shook. Why was this girl so good at telling people off? Outside, all the elders of Imperial College heard what Feng Wu said. The barrier could block normal conversation, but when somebody raised their voice, the sound would penetrate the barrier. Ordinary people might not hear it, but spiritual overlords could. Therefore, they were all dumbfounded and shocked. It was a miracle that Feng Wu was still alive. Was she trying to get herself killed? She was scolding a schoolmaster. Wait, she said schoolmasters. That was to say, Mr. Liu wasn't the only schoolmaster inside. Mr. Su was there too. OMG. The elders dropped to their knees in fear. However, Feng Wu stood there with her hands on her waist. In her red dress, she looked like a ball of fire. If she had a red cape, she would be the goddess of war. She turned to stare at Mr. Su. Why are you looking at me? Am I wrong? Would you have found it without me? How many years did your school work on mine number 3? Did you find it? Why do you think you have the right to share the all-purpose transformation liquid? 70%? We should be grateful. Don't make me laugh. You must feel so good about having so many high-level elders. If you think you're so extraordinary, don't dip your finger in my all-purpose transformation liquid. You thief. Chapter 3172. 3172 Defend Xiao Wu. 3172 Defend Xiao Wu. The elders were no longer kneeling. They were all lying on their stomachs now. Feng Wu was amazing. Had she received training in berating people? Why was she so good at it? It felt so good to hear her talk. However, the elders turned pale when they realized she was talking to Mr. Su and Mr. Liu. They felt a chill run down their spines. Could Feng Wu survive this? Elder Helion searched his memory and tried to remember if he had told Mr. Liu that Feng Wu was a semi-divine medicine refiner. Had he? Meanwhile, in the courtyard, Mr. Liu couldn't laugh anymore. No one could smile when they were scolded this way. He still felt calmer than Mr. Su since Feng Wu's anger was obviously directed at the latter. Because of that, Mr. Liu rubbed his nose and decided to let it go. Meanwhile, Mr. Su looked at Feng Wu in astonishment. He was genuinely shocked. He had been through many dangerous situations before, but this was the first time that someone had spoken to him in this way. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. It was clear from his trembling cheeks how angry he was. Feng Wu smirked. You have more senior elders than us, but so what? When our elders come out of the all-purpose transformation liquid, we'll be as powerful as your school. Just wait and see. Feng Wu headed for the gate outside. Mister. Lu stared at her. Where are you going? Feng Wu said, to let my elders soak in the all-purpose transformation liquid. We won't just sit here and let it vaporize. Mister. Lu tried to speak, but Feng Wu sneered at him. I won that mine for our school, and I discovered the all-purpose transformation liquid. If you want to take it, you can ask the general to talk to me. Feng Wu left after that. Seeing Feng Wu leave, Mister. Lu smiled wryly and turned to Mister. Su, the kid is spoiled. Did you see her temper? Mister. Su glanced at Mister. Lu and said grimly, if she were from my school, I would have killed her already. Mister. Lu looked at Mister. Su, kill her? His Royal Highness will kill you. Mister. Su frowned. What does this have to do with His Royal Highness? Mister. Lu said, she's the mother of the Crown Prince's future son. What do you think? Mother of his future son. It took Mister. Su a moment to realize what that meant. If that was the case. He frowned. I won't have it. Mister. Lu asked, what do you mean? Mister. Su glanced at Mister. Lu. It was quite obvious what he meant. Mister. Lu was speechless. His Majesty has given her his token. What can you possibly do? However, Mister. Su had made a mental note of it. He was the vindictive type. Where are you going? Mister. Lu asked in a hurry when Mister. Su rose to his feet. Mister. Su smirked. Since you won't discipline your student, and she's not one of mine, someone has to do something. Mister. Su knew Mister. Lu could control Feng Wu if the latter wanted to, but all he did was talk about useless things. He was taking that girl's side. Mister. Su could stop Feng Wu, but it wouldn't be appropriate. To solve this matter, the general was the perfect candidate. Chapter 3173. 3173 Share the Benefits. 3173 Share the Benefits. Feng Wu came out to find the elders lying all over the ground. She looked at them, and they looked back at her. Feng Wu was perplexed. What are you all doing here? Elder Helion was the representative of the elders. He rose to his feet and patted the dust off his knees. He looked at Feng Wu in amazement. You're still alive. Feng Wu was even more perplexed. Why shouldn't I be? Elder Helion said. I know Mister. Lu won't do anything, but didn't Mister. Su do anything? Mister. Lu rarely came out of seclusion. Elder Helion had worked for him for years, but had only met him a few times. Therefore, Elder Helion had always respected Mister. Lu, and more so Mister. Su. Why had Imperial College lived under the military academy's shadow all these years? It was because of Mister. Su's suppression. Only someone at Elder Helion's level knew that secret. Right now, they looked at Feng Wu as if she was God. She was amazing. Feng Wu still had plans. With a wave of her hand, she said, let's go. Where? Elder Helion was bewildered. Lucky draw, Feng Wu said succinctly. Lucky draw. Was she referring to the all-purpose transformation liquid in mine number 3? Elder Helion looked at Feng Wu in wonder and smiled bitterly. The general has sealed it off. Even if we go with you, we still won't be able to get in. Feng Wu asked, really? Elder Helion said, yes. Both Mister. Lu and Mister. Su are capable cultivators. We need their permission to release the seal. Let's talk to them. Feng Wu asked, is the general good at inscriptions? Elder Helion said, yes. He's even better than Elder Yin. Elder Yin stepped out. He said seriously, I'm a level 7 inscription master, and the general is slightly better than me, but I don't think he's reached level 8 yet. That won't be a problem. Feng Wu is already at level 8. With Master Linghu's Phoenix Pen, she could easily solve a level 9 inscription. By the way, Feng Wu asked Elder Helion, how many people do you think can soak in the all-purpose transformation liquid before it's used up? All the elders had done the calculations, including Elder Helion. Elder Helion told Feng Wu, not many. My estimate is about 100 people, but it could be fewer than that. Feng Wu rubbed her chin. Since the liquid was hers, she felt she should decide how to use it. So what if the military academy blamed her for it? By then, the liquid would be used up, and their blame would be useless. It would be like the all-purpose transformation liquid never existed. Anyway, it wasn't their mind. Fengwu had prepared a speech for Mr. Su, and couldn't wait to get started. However, time was of the essence here. She took out a piece of paper and started writing down names. She then handed it to Elder Wu. Elder Wu, please go to the living quarters and find everybody on this list. Elder Wu was bewildered when he saw the names, which all belonged to colonels and lieutenant colonels. They're all my friends. Fengwu smiled. Since we're friends, I must share my good fortune with them. I found the all-purpose transformation liquid. How can I forget my friends? All the elders looked at Fengwu in astonishment. Chapter 3174. 3174 My number 3 is ours. 3174 My number 3 is ours. While Elder Wu took the list to find Fengwu's friends, Fengwu took the elders to my number 3. They ran into different people on the way. For instance, Elder Dai of the military academy saw them. He panicked a little when he saw all the elders walking by, and he asked, "Where are you going?" The elders all ignored him. They now held a lot of grudges against the military academy. Elder Dai realized something was wrong, so he hurried off to get Elder Dongfang. Fengwu frowned. "We need to move faster. The military academy will soon send their elders." Elder Helion laughed. "You worry too much." Fengwu was bewildered. "Am I wrong?" Elder Helion said seriously. "The general has sealed off the all-purpose transformation liquid with a level 8 inscription. No one else can open it." "That didn't seem right. Why are you following me then?" Fengwu looked back at the other elders. They all seemed so confident. Did they think this was a picnic? The elders all smiled kindly at Fengwu. Elder Helion smiled at her as well. Fengwu immediately knew what they were doing. They believed they couldn't get to the all-purpose transformation liquid, but they still went with her to keep her company. "Are you worried that Mr. Su will kill me if I'm left alone?" Fengwu asked curiously. "Ahem." Elder Helion awkwardly cleared his throat, feeling she had seen through them. Fengwu was speechless. These people had wild imaginations. However, she felt she had to return the kindness. She had always been this way. When other people were kind to her, she felt compelled to return the favor. If they were unkind, she wouldn't hesitate to get her revenge. These elders were so kind. It was true. A good act would be well rewarded. Fengwu raised her phoenix pen. "I'll show you how I break that level 8 inscription." However, only a handful of people could recognize that pen, and the elders didn't believe her. They weren't alone. Elder Dongfang and her people didn't believe her either. Elder Dai went to report to Elder Dongfang. An elder like him shouldn't run around like a messenger, but this involved the all-purpose transformation liquid, so he couldn't care less about his image. Elder Dai went to report to Elder Dongfang. "The elders of Imperial College are headed for mine number 3. What should we do?" The elders were usually very busy and wouldn't sit down to chat with one another because it was a waste of time. They spent most of their time cultivating in seclusion and battles, and would alternate between the two. A meeting of over 10 elders was very rare. Elder Dongfang sat in the host's seat, and the topic of the meeting was the all-purpose transformation liquid. When Elder Dai ran into the room, one of the elders was saying, 50% won't be enough. Our elders are much more capable than theirs. 70% would be a fair percentage. I think asking for 80% is also acceptable." The other elders agreed with him. Elder Gu said righteously, "My number 3 was ours in the first place. They should be grateful if we give them 20%. Chapter 3175. 3175, Getting Sad. 3175, Getting Sad. Elder Dai ran into the room at that moment and asked Elder Dongfang what to do. The elder who talked about taking 80% laughed. "Why are they going to mine number 3 now? Don't they know it's sealed by the general's level 8 inscription?" Elder Gu also laughed. I'm sure they know it, but it doesn't mean they can accept it. That's why they want to look at it while they still can. Ha ha. Everybody laughed. Why were they so sure they could take most of the all-purpose transformation liquid? After the battle, Mr. Sue told Mr. Lou, at least 50%. Mr. Sue had always been a domineering person. If he wanted at least 50%, he could easily have 70% or 80%. Therefore, the elders of Imperial College wouldn't like it at all. What can they possibly do? They have to see the big picture. Elder Gu laughed. The other laughed with him. The mood was rather solemn at first, but everybody was much more relaxed now. The elder asking for 90% was Elder Chio, who was the cunning, sinister, and greedy type. He laughed wholeheartedly. Elder Dai, don't panic. Elder Dai looked at him. Elder Chio said, they're intimidated. It means we've gained the upper hand in the negotiation between Mr. Sue and Mr. Lou. Imperial College must have compromised a lot. Elder Dai thought about it and felt Elder Chio had a point. He looked at Elder Dongfang. What should we do now? Elder Dongfang said casually, let's wait here. I think we'll hear from Mr. Sue in a moment. The elders of the military academy sat there and happily talked about other things that had happened to Imperial College. Were these elders very close? Not really. They had different cultivation levels and had to compete over cultivation resources. Of course, things between them weren't as friendly as it seemed. They had temporarily put aside their conflict because of Imperial College, which was their common enemy. Nobody believed Feng Wu could break the level 8 inscription set up by the general. Meanwhile, Feng Wu had led the others to mine number 3. The elders all found a place to sit. Elder Helian took Feng Wu to the edge of the shore before sitting down. Xiao Wu, come here. Feng Wu looked at Elder Helian in bewilderment. They had arrived at their destination. Why were they just sitting there? Were they sunbathing? I need to get on with my work. Feng Wu waved at him and wouldn't go to his side. Elder Helian looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. He walked up to Feng Wu and stood by her side. Looking down at the all-purpose transformation liquid close by, he sighed. Here's a pool of all-purpose transformation liquid, he said guiltily. Unfortunately, we can't keep it safe. We've let our school down. If we could keep all the all-purpose transformation liquid, our elders will improve significantly. Apart from anything else, we won't be so inferior when facing the elders of the military academy. Elder Helian became sadder as he spoke. Chapter 3176, 3176 Northern Feng General. 3176 Northern Feng General. Elder Helian glanced at Feng Wu and saw that she seemed to be writing something on the protective dome with a pen. Was it open? It could be, but he wasn't sure. He knew it was something complicated. She was moving around the all-purpose transformation liquid as she wrote. Had she lost her mind because of all the things she had gone through? At that thought, Elder Helian looked guiltily at Feng Wu. Xiao Wu, don't be too sad. Feng Wu ignored him because she was busy breaking the formation. Her godfather knew both inscriptions and formations and was at level 8 in both aspects. His work was quite advanced. It would take Feng Wu a considerable amount of energy to open this seal. Seeing that Feng Wu was still writing, Elder Helian followed her and kept talking. Xiao Wu, cheer up. We'll have to find other opportunities in the future. Let me talk to my superior. I'm sure we can keep half of the liquid. Feng Wu said. Mr. Su said he would take 70%. What? Elder Helian was astonished. He wasn't alone. The other elders had been sitting idly on the shore and eyeing the all-purpose liquid. When they heard this, they almost jumped to their feet. What was that? 70%? Who can have 70%? Feng Wu was still moving around the dome, and all the elders were following her around now. They all seemed very unhappy. Isn't that obvious? The military academy will take 70%, and we'll keep 30%. How can he do that? That's not fair. Elder Huiyan's face darkened. What did Mr. Lu say? Did he just let them do this to us? Feng Wu shrugged. The 50% is the result of Mr. Lu's negotiation. That's why Mr. Sue told me that we should feel grateful to get the other 50%. Grateful? The all-purpose transformation liquid is ours. Why should we feel grateful for giving away 50%? Elder M.O. bellowed. The other elders were equally angry. Feng Wu said, according to Mr. Sue, the military academy has 10 junior spiritual overlords, 10 intermediate ones for senior ones, and a peak spiritual overlord. The elders of Imperial College flushed in frustration. They knew better than anyone else the capabilities of their own elders. Because they didn't have the advantage, the elders of Imperial College were a close-knit community. Feng Wu's voice rang out at that moment. I'm risking my life here to break the seal for you. Guys, please don't disappoint me. Break the seal. The elders didn't understand what she meant at first, but something soon began to happen. Crack. The transparent dome covering the all-purpose transformation liquid began to crack. It started as a little gap, but the cracks soon formed a spiderweb. In the end, the entire dome disappeared. All the elders were astonished. Meanwhile, in the general's residence, Northern Feng General, who was recuperating in a secret chamber, slowly opened his eyes. Someone had just destroyed his protective barrier. He narrowed his eyes and saw what was going on in mine number 3. His pupils contracted when he saw the girl with the phoenix pen. Phoenix pen. Master Linghu's phoenix pen. Of course, Northern Feng General knew who Master Linghu was. Master Linghu was the one who had taught him inscriptions and formations, but the master had never given him the phoenix pen. Master Linghu wasn't the general's official teacher, but he was the closest thing to a teacher that the general ever had. Chapter 3177. 3177 Jump In. 3177 Jump In. Feng Wu had no idea that the Northern Feng General had sensed what she did. Even if she knew, she wouldn't think much of it because he was her godfather. Elder Hellion and the others were all astonished. Of course there were. The dome was made out of a level 8 inscription, but Feng Wu had just broken it. Ew. Elder Hellion stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. So did the elders around him. They couldn't believe their eyes. Elder Hellion stared at Feng Wu. How did you do it? How? Feng Wu shrugged. It's just a level 8 inscription. It's not as hard as you think. Someone in the crowd suddenly spoke. Miss Feng Wu, I know you're a great formation master, but I didn't know you were equally impressive in inscriptions. That was Elder Mei, who had dealt with Feng Wu before. You're more talented than the last time we met, Elder Mei said emotionally. Making progress was very hard for formation masters, and each improvement felt like being reborn. He couldn't figure out why it was so easy for Feng Wu to make progress. Elder Hellion stared at Elder Mei. Do you mean? The others all looked at Elder Mei. Elder Mei said solemnly, she's particularly good at formations. I think she's higher than level 8. As for her inscription skills, you've seen it yourselves. Nobody made a sound. Elder Hellion opened his mouth and wanted to tell the others the girl was also a semi-divine medicine refiner. In the end, he didn't say anything, but only looked up at the sky. If he told the others, he was worried the girl's unbelievable talent would make God jealous. Imperial College couldn't afford to lose such a genius. Seeing the dumbfounded elders, Feng Wu calmly pointed at the all-purpose transformation liquid. The all-purpose transformation liquid right down below. Get inside. But Elder Hellion hesitated. Is that a good idea? It feels like we're stealing what is entrusted to our care. Feng Wu asked the elders, did I win this mine for Imperial College? The elders said, yes. Feng Wu asked, did I discover the all-purpose transformation liquid? The elders said, yes. Feng Wu asked, do I have the right to distribute my belongings? The elders said, yes. After answering the questions, the elders felt that their reaction was a little childish. Feng Wu waved at them. Hurry up. When the military academy hears about this, they'll be rushing here like blood-sucking locusts. As for the blame from our superior, I'd like to see who will blame me for using my own things. The law doesn't punish numerous offenders. What can they possibly do to you? Are they going to destroy all your abilities? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If you don't draw the lottery now, they'll take this chance away. The elders realized she was right. What could the Empire possibly do to them? As for Fengwu, when they all became more capable, they could protect her together and wouldn't let anyone punish her. At that thought, Elder Hellion waved his hand. She's right. We need to make it an established fact. Gin, hurry up. He chased the other elders into the liquid like chasing a flock of ducks. Chapter 3178. 3178 Elder Hellion comes out first. 3178 Elder Hellion comes out first. After all the others jumped in, Fengwu told Elder Hellion, "You should join them." Elder Hellion wanted to turn down the offer, but Fengwu said, "You still have two opportunities. It'll be a shame to waste them." Elder Dongfeng made a breakthrough recently and is more capable than you now. Do you know why she's always so arrogant? The two of you are the leaders of the two schools, but she's always better than you. Elder Hellion, you're the head of the elders in our school. Mr. Liu isn't reliable, so we're counting on you. Fengwu patted Elder Hellion on the shoulder. Elder Hellion suddenly felt the weight of his responsibility. She was right. Mr. Liu is too easy to persuade. Elder Hellion knew he needed to improve his capability. The elders of the military academy are coming. Mr. Su and even the general will be here too. Elder Hellion, you need to improve your capability now. Elder Hellion felt something burning in his chest. He gave Fengwu a solemn nod before she jumped into the all-purpose transformation liquid. Fengwu didn't stay idle. She picked up the phoenix pen and started walking around. What was she doing? The answer was easy. She was setting up a camouflage. After she was done, from afar, other people would see the elders sunbathing on the shore. Of course, the camouflage would stop working when the watchers moved closer. The pool containing the all-purpose transformation liquid was only over 100 square meters. After the 20 elders jumped in, there was little room left. A person needed some room when refining the energy of the liquid. They couldn't afford any disturbance. After setting up the camouflage, Fengwu decided to add a protective dome. The general had used one to keep everybody out. She would do the same. Fengwu picked up her phoenix pen and walked around the mine again. Every now and then, she would write a seal in the air. The process was very energy-consuming. The all-purpose transformation liquid was the only reason that Fengwu could break the previous seal and set up a new one. Even the general would need a while to open up her dome. What a pity, thought Fengwu. She couldn't create a seal of this scale in other places without the all-purpose transformation liquid. Otherwise, she would be able to do almost anything she wanted. Fengwu rubbed her temple. Using formations and inscriptions repeatedly had exhausted her. Her temples were throbbing. She had reached her limit. What she didn't know was how much more energetic she was compared with other people. Even level 8 inscription and formation masters would need days to create this seal. Time crawled by. Fengwu saw all the elders glowing in the all-purpose transformation liquid. 15 minutes later, Elder Hellion was the first to come out. He had drawn the lottery once and gained dozens of years' worth of cultivation experience. What did he gain this time? Fengwu looked at him. Elder Hellion could barely control his impulse to guffaw. Fengwu had him sit down. "I've sealed the mine," she told Elder Hellion. "Feel free to speak. You won't affect the other elders." Chapter 3179. 3179, let's show them. 3179, let's show them. Elder Hellion stared at Fengwu in astonishment. He soon realized the girl was one of the best formation masters and inscription masters. She was a genius. Even that was an understatement. Elder Hellion had been shocked too many times and had gotten used to it. He sat down next to Fengwu and told her what he had obtained. Fengwu's eyes sparkled as she listened. "Does that mean you can become a spiritual overlord anytime you want?" Elder Hellion nodded in excitement. He used to be inferior to Elder Dongfeng, but that would no longer be the case. I'll soon become a lot stronger than that old hag. Elder Hellion was over the moon. She can't be so arrogant toward me anymore. Feng Wu said, make your breakthrough now. Elder Hellion looked at Feng Wu in concern. Didn't you say the general and Mr. Su would be here soon? Feng Wu said, they won't be able to do anything after you guys all make breakthroughs. Go ahead. Elder Hellion thought about it and agreed with her. He didn't need to sit in the all-purpose transformation liquid to make his breakthrough. He could do it while sitting next to Feng Wu. Elder Mo came out as well. Feng Wu had examined the elders before and knew he was a junior spiritual overlord. Elder Mo seemed to be over the moon. Feng Wu asked him what he had gained. Elder Mo said, I can become a senior at any moment. A senior spiritual overlord? That meant he could skip the intermediate stage. Seeing the look in Feng Wu's eyes, Elder Mo said excitedly, yes, directly to the senior stage. Feng Wu said, what are you waiting for then? Elder Mo said, all right. Hence, Elder Mo sat down next to Elder Hellion and started cultivating. Gradually, more and more elders came out of the pond. By the looks on their faces, Feng Wu knew they had made some great achievements. Their eyes all sparkled as they looked at Feng Wu. They were all thrilled. Feng Wu said, start cultivating now. Get as much out of it as you can. After a pause, she added, the elders of the military academy will be here soon, and we'll show them our muscle. Hearing this, the elders' eyes all sparkled. Yes, they would show the military academy's elders what they could do. The thought of the looks on those people's faces excited them. They all found a spot behind Elder Hellion and started cultivating. By then, there were only a few elders left who were soaking in the liquid. Feng Wu checked the time and wondered why Elder Wu hadn't returned with those people. Yang Jihu was the first to arrive, and Feng Wu told him to get in. Yang Jihu hesitated at first, but Feng Wu said, the military academy's people are coming here to punish me in a moment. You have to get stronger and protect me. Hearing this, Yang Jihu nodded repeatedly. All right, you can count on me. He immediately jumped into the all-purpose transformation liquid. Feng Wu had sealed the mine with a dome, leaving only one opening for everybody to enter and exit. She studied the all-purpose transformation liquid. Elder Hellion was right. The active ingredient in the liquid would eventually be used up. Chapter 3180. 3180 Feng Wu wouldn't have it. 3180 Feng Wu wouldn't have it. After the elders came out, the dark green color faded a little, becoming a lighter shade. Feng Wu did some calculations and knew she could still fit many people into the liquid. Seeing that Elder Mo had finished cultivating, she whispered something in his ear. Elder Mo nodded and headed for the colonel's quarters. Poor Elder Mo. He had been downgraded to a messenger, but he rather enjoyed it. He found Wang Zhaola and told the latter to gather everybody in 3 minutes and take them to mine number 3. The whole thing should be kept a secret, and no one was allowed to leak the information. Otherwise, they would be punished by military law. It was now a time of war, and everybody was prepared for emergencies like this. Some colonels had gone to the Daedalus Woods to carry out missions, and the rest were in the fortress. Feng Wu had thought about them because when she was sleeping earlier, Yang Zhu had asked all the colonels to look for her through the night. She felt she owed them one, and she never wanted to owe anybody anything. Now was the perfect time to return this little favor. When Wang Zhaola gathered everybody, he saw that 3 people were missing. They were Yin Han, Han Lu, and Gao Ya. Yang Hong said, Mr. Yang ordered Yin Han to stay in seclusion for 3 days, so Wang Zhaola waved him off. We're going on a mission this time, and it could be dangerous. She's not exactly a capable cultivator. Forget it. Let her stay here. The others all nodded. Yin Han became a colonel because of her connection with Elder Yin and her skill with inscriptions. As a result, she was a qualified member of the colonel's quarters. However, her actual capability was a different story. As for Han Lu and Gao Ya, Wang Zhaola frowned. They're both still injured. How are they going to fight? Let them stay here. We're leaving. When Elder Mo told Wang Zhaola to gather everybody, He didn't mention the all-purpose transformation liquid. Wang Zhaola didn't leave the three people out on purpose. In my number 3, Feng Wu waited and waited, and her friends finally arrived. She was used to giving out favors instead of receiving them. She had returned that favor when she gave her friends the badges. There was no need to do more, but the all-purpose transformation liquid was available, so why not use it? If they didn't use it, the military academy would. The man who said he would take 70% would use it. That wasn't going to happen. Feng Wu wouldn't have it. Feng Wu's list contained a lot of people. There was Ying Yuan, Chun Ziyun, and Sun Yu. Even Yang Wan and her friends were included. They were thrilled to see Feng Wu, but before they had time to greet her, Feng Wu pointed at the all-purpose transformation liquid. Get in. What? They jumped into the liquid before they knew what they were doing. As soon as they were inside, they felt the benefits of the all-purpose transformation liquid. Somebody shouted, I've just gained 10 years' worth of cultivation experience. My skills have improved. My dantian has expanded. Feng Wu saw the color of the all-purpose transformation liquid turn lighter. After they got out, Feng Wu told them to find a corner to cultivate. Chapter 3181. 3181 Stop. 3181 Stop. She told them to stay in a corner because she didn't want them to be disturbed when the elders of the two schools started fighting. However, at that moment, Wang Zhaola arrived with his people. Elder Yin was slightly distracted when he heard that all the colonels were here. All the colonels. Yin Han was a colonel, too. Since all the colonels were here, Yin Han had to be here with them. Elder Yin was glad. Feng Wu was an amazing girl. He decided to tell Yin Han later that she should get along well with Feng Wu. That way, her future would be promising. The elders treated her as their equal and would even run errands for her. Elder Yin put away all thoughts and focused on his cultivation again. What he didn't know was that Yin Han wasn't among the colonels. Moreover, Yin Han and Feng Wu were anything but friends. Feng Wu looked up at the sky and saw little black dots. What were those? The elders of the military academy. Get inside, now. Wang Zhaola was glad to see Feng Wu. He wanted to chat with her, but she suddenly kicked him into the all-purpose transformation liquid. Cough, cough. Wang Zhaola almost choked on the liquid. Feng Wu, why are you doing this to me? Urged by Feng Wu, all the colonels jumped into the liquid one after another. Feng Wu smiled and wrote something on the opening. Seal. The all-purpose transformation liquid was completely sealed up now. As for herself, Feng Wu had stored some all-purpose transformation liquid in her storage space and could use it whenever she wanted. Whoosh! People began to land from above. The first one was Elder Dongfang. As soon as she landed, she ran toward the all-purpose transformation liquid. She was astonished by what she saw, because a lot of youngsters were floating in it. Dongfang Ziyun immediately recognized them. They're the colonels of Imperial College. Dongfang Ziyun's eyes had turned red. She was so jealous. All the colonels were floating in the all-purpose transformation liquid and absorbing its energy. Elder Dongfang realized the liquid was only mildly green now. She knew that if these people continued to absorb the energy, the green color would only become lighter. When the liquid became light green, would it still be the all-purpose transformation liquid? No, it would become ordinary essence liquid, which was only slightly better than essence crystals. No, Elder Dongfang stared at the all-purpose transformation liquid with bloodshot eyes. The elders around her looked like they were going to lose their minds. A moment ago, they had been dreaming of taking 70% or 80% of the liquid. The most greedy ones even wanted to take all the liquid, but that dream had just been shattered. There was less than 10% left. Elder Dongfang, please make them stop. Tell them to stop. They all urged Elder Dongfang. Chapter 3182. 3182. The all-purpose transformation liquid is gone. 3182. The all-purpose transformation liquid is gone. Didn't Elder Dongfang want to stop them? She wanted to, but she couldn't. As soon as she saw the kernels, she wanted to jump into the liquid, but she only managed to bump her head on the dome. That hurt. When the other elders saw all the kernels in the liquid, their eyes popped. Damn it. They all tried to jump into the all-purpose transformation liquid from above. The colonels watched this in astonishment. Holy crap. The elders of the military academy looked like they wanted to kill someone. Were they going to get in? They were all frightened. Wang Zhaola felt the same as everybody else. When Feng Wu kicked him into the liquid, he complained about how she treated him. However, he soon realized the benefits of the liquid and became dumbfounded. He had suddenly become a level higher. Gosh, the higher one's level was, the harder it was to make a breakthrough. However, it had happened just like that. Was this some kind of divine liquid? It had to be, since the elders of the military academy looked like they had lost their minds. Don't! Elder Dongfang tried to stop them. However, she was too late. The elders smashed their heads on the transparent dome. SSSS. Wang Zhaola could tell how painful it was just by looking at them. They had jumped down from so high up. He saw a purple bump appear on one elder's head right away, making him hiss. The elders of the military academy looked like ants on a hot pan. The all-purpose transformation liquid was running out, but they couldn't get in. How frustrating. The two sides were suddenly at a stalemate. While the young colonels inside the dome enjoyed the benefits of the liquid, the elders outside lost their minds. Seeing this, Feng Wu didn't want to get involved. She closed her eyes and pretended she didn't know what was going on. Elder Dongfang finally saw Feng Wu. She didn't confront Elder Hellion because she knew the whole thing was Feng Wu's doing. You must be so pleased with yourself. Elder Dongfang stared at Feng Wu. How dare you? Feng Wu acted as if she couldn't hear her. Elder Dongfang went up to Feng Wu and glared at her from above. She reached out and tried to grab Feng Wu by the collar. Obviously, Elder Dongfang wanted to pick Feng Wu up by the collar. She was treating the girl like a servant. But before she could do that, Feng Wu stuffed something into her hand. It was the token. It was equivalent to having the owner of the token here. Elder Dongfang was speechless. She stared at the token as if it burned her palm. Only then did she realize that the token belonged to Emperor Wu. Feng Wu was the crown prince's favorite girl. This was so frustrating. Elder Dongfang forced herself to calm down. Although Peace Grassland was beyond northern border city, it was still ruled by the law of the empire. They were all the emperor's subjects. She couldn't defy Emperor Wu. Elder Dongfang, the active ingredient in the all-purpose transformation liquid, is completely gone. Elder Dai reported to Elder Dongfang with bloodshot eyes. Chapter 3183. 3183. The general had a headache. 3183. The general had a headache. Had they been dreaming? They actually thought they could take a large chunk away. There was nothing left for them. It's Imperial College's doing. It has to be them. Elder Dai looked like he had lost his mind. He had forgotten about his manners and dignity. The hell with all that. He just wanted to cultivate. At that moment, Feng Wu finally opened her eyes and rose to her feet. Elder Hellion was exasperated. He hadn't finished his breakthrough yet and wished Feng Wu would remain still. Feng Wu tilted her head and smiled at Elder Dongfang. Do you want to kill me? Elder Dongfang had calmed down from her initial frantic state. Her face was expressionless and her eyes were cold. Before Elder Dongfang could say anything, Elder Dai bellowed at Feng Wu, I'm going to kill you. He charged at Feng Wu, but Elder Dongfang stopped him. Elder Dai stared at Elder Dongfang in bewilderment. Why? Elder Dongfang ignored Elder Dai and only stared at Feng Wu. It was you, wasn't it? All the elders of the military academy behind Elder Dongfang stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. It was her. This girl. Elder Dongfang kept her cold gaze on Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled at her. Didn't the general set up the protective barrier? The elders behind Elder Dongfang all found it strange because Feng Wu was telling the truth. How did the people of Imperial College get in? Elder Dai questioned Feng Wu. Feng Wu tilted her head. We just could. Elder Dai said, I don't believe you. Feng Wu said, I'm telling the truth. We can go in right now. Maybe the general favors us over you. Elder Dai smirked. I'd like to see how you did it. I'll believe you if you can go inside now. Feng Wu chuckled. Elder Helion and the other cultivating members of Imperial College also let out a breath of relief. As long as they didn't need to fight, Xiao Wu could pass any test. That's right. If you can get in, we'll believe the general favors your school, said the other elders of the military academy. They agreed because they were certain it was impossible. They had tried kicking, burning, and using lightning on the dome, but they still couldn't get in. In the general's residence, Northern Feng General was watching Feng Wu from afar while recuperating in the secret chamber. He didn't know how to describe the behavior of the elders of the military academy. The general rubbed his temple. He was getting a headache. As expected, Feng Wu immediately took action. She went up to the all-purpose transformation liquid. No, it should be called essence liquid now. She stepped over the edge. Thump! She was in the pool. Half of the people on shore stared at her. That half was the elders of the military academy. They couldn't believe their eyes. They were all capable spiritual overlords, but they couldn't get in no matter how hard they tried. However, Feng Wu was only a spiritual king. She made it seem so easy. Elder Dongfang swayed a little and started to panic. Because Mr. Su used to serve Emperor Wu, when he became the head of the military academy, the school received a lot of favors, which was why the military academy had become so powerful. But now, it seemed the general preferred Imperial College. Chapter 3184. 3184 Inviolable Master. 3184 Inviolable Master. Had the general started favoring Imperial College now? The idea filled Elder Dongfang with sorrow. She was frustrated and distressed, but she didn't dare lash out at anybody. Behind her were the other elders, who were dumbfounded when they saw Feng Wu jump in. How was that possible? Elder Dai rushed to the opening where Feng Wu had entered and tried to get through. He made a diving gesture. Unfortunately, his head bumped into the dome with a thump. SSSS. A lump immediately formed on his forehead. He already had one from the first attempt, and the two symmetrical lumps now looked like a pair of horns. They were kind of adorable. However, the elders of the military academy didn't see it that way. They were horrified. Why? Why could she get in? Why can't we? The discovery felt like a bucket of cold water poured over their heads. They were so aggressive earlier, but now they were all frozen on the spot and didn't know what to do. Two people finally arrived at that moment. They were Mr. Su and Mr. Lu. Seeing them, the elders became excited and greeted their respective schoolmasters. Chen Ziyun and his friends sat quietly in the corner. The teenagers in the pool were also speechless. They watched the scene with blank looks on their faces. What? What was the occasion? Apart from this benefit, they even got to see so many important people. Their hearts had raced when Feng Wu confronted Elder Dongfang. Elder Dongfang was the head of all those elders. However, Feng Wu simply snapped back at Elder Dongfang without hesitation. She was dauntless and wouldn't give in. Somehow, she won the argument. And now, they saw the two schoolmasters who almost never showed up in public. They were Mr. Lu of Imperial College and Mr. Su of the Military Academy. What happened today was beyond everybody's expectations. They thought they were dreaming. As soon as Mr. Su and Mr. Lu landed, Elder Dai angrily went up to Mr. Su and asked, Mr. Su, why did this happen? Elder Dai pointed at what used to be the all-purpose transformation liquid. Aren't we supposed to have at least half of it? It's all gone. Mr. Su fixed his cold gaze on Elder Dai and asked in a stern tone, Are you blaming me now? He sounded like he could kill someone right now. Elder Dai was petrified. Only then did he realize he was talking to Mr. Su, a spiritual saint whose eyes he couldn't meet. Elder Dai immediately shut up, but he didn't seem convinced. He wasn't alone. None of the military academy's elders were convinced. Mr. Su didn't speak. He turned around and stared at someone on the other side of the dome. When his cold gaze met Feng Wu's eyes, Feng Wu felt like her eyes were being stabbed by needles. Even with the protective barrier, Feng Wu felt a searing headache, and her mind went blank for a moment. That was the effect of a capable master's gaze. Mr. Su was one of the best cultivators in the Empire, and he wouldn't let anyone challenge his authority. Chapter 3185. 3185, I want to make a breakthrough. 3185, I want to make a breakthrough. Just then, Mr. Lu stepped forward and blocked Mr. Su's sight. He waved at Feng Wu. Kiddo, come out here. Feng Wu rubbed her temples. Her mind had gone blank for a moment back there. She was much better now, but her head was still spinning a little. She snorted. Why would she go out just because they told her to? That wasn't very polite. Just then, Wang Zhaola nudged Feng Wu a little and whispered, Xiao Wu, Mr. Lu is talking to you. A common student like Wang Zhaola wouldn't know what to do in the current situation. The elders on the shore were some of the most capable masters. It was hard for anybody to imagine ever meeting them. Wang Zhaola was surprised to see Feng Wu ignore Mr. Lu. Most of the colonels were still in the pool, and they were all watching Feng Wu eagerly. Mr. Lu looked at Feng Wu and sighed. Come out now. Feng Wu snorted but eventually left the dome. Mr. Lu told Chen Ziyun and his friends, who were hiding in a corner in astonishment, you can go back to your living quarters now. However, Chen Ziyun looked at Feng Wu in concern. Feng Wu waved at them. Recalling that the crown prince was Feng Wu's patron, Chen Ziyun nodded and left with the others. Mr. Lu kept his cold gaze on Wang Zhaola, and the latter immediately felt suffocated. May we leave now? Wang Zhaola stammered from fear. Mr. Lu nodded. Wang Zhaola glanced at Feng Wu, who nodded at him. Wang Zhaola and the other colonels immediately dashed off. Oh God! When they returned to the colonels' quarters, they all sat on the ground, and no one spoke a word. Their foreheads were covered with sweat. Yang Hong felt his back and found it covered with sweat. Holy crap, that was an eye-opener. Yang Hong was amazed. I never thought I would see so many elders in one day. The others all nodded. It was one of the most miraculous days of their lives. I've never seen them quarrel that way. I thought they were different from us. They're supposed to be beings on another level who eat no mortal food and show no emotions. Who could have known? They can argue and fight as well. Everybody nodded. I was too scared to breathe and almost fainted. I thought if I so much as breathed, Mr. Lu would look at me. That feeling was so scary. Did you notice Feng Wu wasn't afraid of the elders at all? That's right. Elder Dongfang obviously wanted to hit her, but she forced herself to stop. That was amazing. Feng Wu was bold enough to talk back to Elder Dongfang. That wasn't all. Did you see that? When Mr. Lu told her to come out, she defied his order at first. The colonels fell silent when they recalled what Feng Wu had done. How courageous! I wonder if Feng Wu can come out alive. Feng Wu is a really nice person. Elder Mei told me she was the one who told him to fetch us. The elders of the military academy desperately want that liquid, but we ended up absorbing all of it. Chapter 3186. 3186 Intimidate you as a junior. 3186 Intimidate you as a junior. I feel like I'm about to make a breakthrough. So do I. Me too. Wang Zhaola was the first person to express that urge, and his colleagues chimed in. In the end, most of the colonels said they were going to make a breakthrough. How terrifying. Instead of returning to their rooms, they sat down in the square and started cultivating. Meanwhile, MI number 3, Mr. Lu had dismissed his subordinates and was looking at the stubborn girl in resignation. Apologized to Mr. Su. Mr. Lu put on a straight face. Was he glad? Of course. He wasn't stupid. He never wanted to share the liquid with Mr. Su when Imperial College didn't have enough resources. Even the graduates would improve significantly after soaking in the liquid, not to mention the elders. This year, Imperial College would have much stronger colonels. However, Mr. Lu couldn't let his feelings show. He had to frown and stare at Feng Wu and tell her to apologize to Mr. Su. Mr. Su put his hands behind his back, and his face was livid. He had never expected this to happen. Apologize? Feng Wu tilted her head. Why should I apologize? Mr. Lu gave Feng Wu a warning look. We've gained actual benefits. Show them some respect, and this will be over soon. Isn't that the right way? No. Feng Wu stared back at Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu rubbed his temples and felt he had never had such a difficult student. Seeing the exchange of looks between Mr. Lu and Feng Wu, Mr. Su smirked. Young lady, you're very arrogant. Here we go. Elder Dongfang and her people all became excited. So what if Feng Wu had the token? Mr. Su used to personally serve Emperor Wu. Feng Wu smiled at Mr. Su. Arrogant? Am I? Mr. Su, you're giving me a bad name so that you can hang me. Just because you're a schoolmaster doesn't mean you can blame me for everything. I won't have it. Mr. Su's face turned livid. He had never met a girl so good at quarreling. You're just a spiritual king, but you're talking back to me. Aren't you arrogant? Mr. Su became serious. Feng Wu said, so what if I'm a spiritual king? Everybody was a spiritual king once. Mr. Su, were you a spiritual saint when you were born? Mr. Su was speechless. Taking a deep breath, he glanced at Mr. Lu. Does Imperial College have speech classes? Feng Wu smirked. Are you trying to use my superior to intimidate me? Why don't you fight your own battle? Mr. Su put his hands behind his back. I'm a senior, and I'll use that to my advantage. Elder Dongfang almost couldn't recognize Mr. Su anymore. He used to be an unapproachable man, but now he was arguing with a child. Feng Wu smirked. In that case, I'm a junior, and I'll use that to my advantage. Against me? Mr. Su couldn't believe his ears. No junior can intimidate me. Mr. Su laughed wildly. He was right. Mr. Su was a spiritual saint, and the Junwu Empire only had a handful of such cultivators. How could a junior intimidate him? The girl had to be dreaming. Chapter 3187. 3187 exposed. 3187 exposed. Feng Wu said seriously, what if a junior can intimidate you? If you can accomplish that impossible mission? Mr. Su stared at Feng Wu and pointed at the pool of liquid. I'll forget about what happened to the all-purpose transformation liquid. Mr. Lu gave Mr. Su a strange look, and so did Elder Hellion. Both of them were thinking of the same name. However, Mr. Su had no idea what they were thinking, and he sneered at Feng Wu. He sounded so sure of himself. Feng Wu said, all right, it's a deal. We'll meet again in a month. If you lose, you'll have to forget about this incident and hold no more grudges against us. If you win, I'll give you a new pool of all-purpose transformation liquid. Where are you going to find that? Mr. Su stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, why do you think you can win? Mr. Su was speechless. He decided not to talk to her unless it was necessary, because it would damage his image as an unapproachable man. Mr. Su smirked. Bring it on. Feng Wu glanced at him. Everybody here will be our witness. Elder Dongfang wanted to warn Mr. Su, but Mr. Su had already taken the challenge. She didn't know what to tell him now. Elder Dai snorted. Are you going to ask His Royal Highness for help? Feng Wu's eyes lit up. That's so clever of you. No points for getting the right answer, though. His Royal Highness. Mr. Su's pupils contracted, and he glared at Feng Wu. Do you know His Royal Highness well? Feng Wu said, Elder Dongfang knows my relationship with the Crown Prince. Elder Dongfang wanted to slap Feng Wu. What an evil girl. Mr. Su turned his cold gaze on Elder Dongfang. Having no other choice, Elder Dongfang tried to choose the right words. Feng Wu, she socializes with His Royal Highness quite often, I guess. Mr. Su heaved a sigh in relief. He could accept that. Feng Wu smiled. Are you sure it's only socializing? Elder Dongfang glared at Feng Wu. How would you describe your relationship then? Feng Wu smiled. You'll never know what our relationship is. She had convinced herself that she and Jun Linyuan were best friends. Mr. Su studied Feng Wu. He still didn't believe Jun Linyuan would turn against the head of the military academy for a girl. She was a nobody, and he was a schoolmaster. Anyone would choose him over her. But what if Jun Linyuan really was in love with her? Mr. Su stared at Feng Wu, his brain racing. Nobody knew what he was thinking. Right at that moment, they heard a stern voice. Little Feng Wu, get over here. That was the general's voice. The general was more capable than either of the schoolmasters. Because of that, the two schools had reached an equilibrium, and their conflicts were kept at bay. The general had just called Feng Wu by her name. Did he know her? Everybody reacted differently to the general's voice. The elders of Imperial College turned pale and forgot to breathe. Oh God, what she did had been exposed. Chapter 3188. 3188, do you want to fight me? 3188, do you want to fight me? Feng Wu had destroyed the general's formation to let everybody absorb the all-purpose transformation liquid. After that, she also put the blame on the general. Hearing the general's angry voice, they were worried that he would punish her now. While the elders of Imperial College panicked, those of the military academy began to celebrate. Feng Wu, it's over for you. Even Mr. Su's expression changed a little. Half of the people here couldn't wait to see the general punish Feng Wu, while the other half was worried sick. Elder Hellion was among the latter. However, Feng Wu acted as if nothing had happened. She turned to Elder Hellion. How do I get to the general's residence? Elder Hellion said nervously. The general is very strict. Feng Wu said, I know. Feng Sun had complained to her more than once about his angry and serious father, who always scolded him. The way his father treated him still gave him nightmares. The general even reprimands his royal highness when he sees fit. Elder Hellion reminded Feng Wu. His royal highness always listens to him. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She didn't know that. Jun Linyuan wasn't afraid of anybody. To make him listen, Northern Feng General had to have been really nice to him when he was little. Elder Hellion warned Feng Wu, you must be extra careful. Don't talk back, and don't act cute. He gave Feng Wu a lot of instructions. She was like a granddaughter to him, and he was genuinely worried about her. Feng Wu patted Elder Hellion on the shoulder. Don't worry about it. The general won't scold me. Elder Hellion rolled his eyes at her, not believing a word she said. After some thought, he said, I'll go with you. However, Mr. Liu shook his head. I'll go with her. Elder Hellion nodded. With Mr. Liu there, the general would show Feng Wu some leniency. An idea struck Elder Hellion, and he told Feng Wu, if the general looks like he wants to kill you, tell him your other skills. Remember that. Elder Hellion thought the general would value her talent as a semi-divine medicine refiner and a level 8 inscription master. Mr. Su glanced at Feng Wu and smirked. I don't have anything to do at the moment. I'll go with you. Feng Wu looked at him. Why? Mr. Su smiled, but there was no emotion in his eyes. Feng Wu knew he wanted to laugh at her defeat. However, that wasn't going to happen because the general was her godfather. Feng Wu was very confident, but deep down, she was a little worried. The general held such a high position in the military. He had Mr. Liu and Mr. Su's respect, and even Jun Linyuan would listen to him, not to mention all the elders. What kind of person was General Feng Xiangnan? Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. If she had known this would happen, she would have talked with Feng Sun more about his father. She felt a little at a loss right now. She couldn't greet him by saying, Hi, Dad. I'm the goddaughter you've never met before. That sounded so embarrassing. She didn't even know if the general knew about his goddaughter. As soon as Feng Wu and the two schoolmasters left, the others started talking. Elder Dongfang glared at Elder Hellion. Elder Hellion smirked. What? Do you want to fight me? Chapter 3189. 3189, Xiao Wu. 3189, Xiao Wu. Elder Hellion smirked. What? Do you want to fight me? Elder Dongfang looked from Elder Hellion to the elders behind him. She looked at each one of them in turn. Mr. Su had done exactly the same thing. He had looked at Elder Hellion and each elder, and his face had darkened after that. Elder Dongfang had the same look on her face now. The elders of Imperial College had become stronger. Elder Hellion was satisfied. You can see it, can't you? The other elders behind Elder Hellion laughed as well. Having soaked in the all-purpose transformation liquid, the elders had improved significantly. At first, Imperial College had 15 junior spiritual overlords, 7 intermediate ones, 2 senior ones, and 1 peak spiritual overlord. Of the 25 elders from the military academy, 10 were junior spiritual overlords, 10 were intermediate ones, 4 were senior ones, and 1 was a peak spiritual overlord. What about now? Imperial College had no junior spiritual overlords, 20 intermediate ones for senior ones, and a spiritual saint. Yes, Elder Hellion was a spiritual saint now. The fortress had 1 more spiritual saint. What about the military academy? It had remained the same. That was why Elder Hellion wasn't afraid of fighting. Right now, the elders of Imperial College were as capable as those of the military academy. When they finished absorbing the spiritual essence, the military academy wouldn't be their match. It felt great. Elder Dongfang's face darkened further when she saw how happy Elder Hellion was. Would the military academy become inferior to Imperial College again? She wouldn't have it. Why are you gloating? Are you so sure Feng Wu will come back alive? Hearing this, the elders behind her all laughed. That was right. Feng Wu had to face Northern Feng General, who was supposed to be a relentless and invincible man. It was said that Northern Feng General wouldn't even give in to his majesty. How could a mere token stop him from doing what he wanted? Feng Wu couldn't talk her way out of this. Elder Hellion immediately lost all interest in quarreling with Elder Dongfang. Feng Wu, he threw a dirty look at Elder Dongfang and led his elders away. Let's go. He and the others would kneel outside the general's residence to apologize for their offense. Seeing Elder Hellion and his people heading for the general's residence, Elder Dongfang smirked and waved her hand. The others all followed her. Although they had lost the all-purpose transformation liquid, seeing Feng Wu getting punished was the next best thing. Meanwhile, in the main corridor, Feng Wu walked in the middle with Mr. Lu on her right and Mr. Su on her left. None of them spoke. As soon as Mr. Lu opened his mouth, Mr. Su smirked. Lu, you can't change anything now. Mr. Lu looked at him. She's a genius. Mr. Su asked. Is she a genius at quarreling? Mr. Lu asked. Are you seriously going to argue with a girl? Mr. Su smirked. So what if the answer was yes? Feng Wu remained perfectly calm. Seeing her like that, Mr. Lu sighed. Xiao Wu you. Chapter 3190. 3190, it's me. 3190, it's me. Seeing her like that, Mr. Lu sighed. Xiao Wu you. What? Feng Wu looked at him in bewilderment. Mr. Lu said, I guess ignorance does make one innocent. Feng Wu looked perplexed. Mr. Lu said, that's it then. Mr. Hellion has told you everything you need to know. Just remember, don't keep anything from the general. He hates it when people lie to him. Feng Wu said, I see. Mr. Lu couldn't help but worry when he saw how indifferent Feng Wu was. He was even more worried than the culprit. They arrived at the general's residence, which was an impressive establishment. It took up thousands of square meters of land, but there was only one building at the center of the spacious square. A pair of 10 tall red-line sculptures were set outside the gate. They held their heads high and looked quite imposing. The doors were vermilion and made of bronze. Bronze nails on the doors glinted. There were no guards at the gate. It was as if the general was the only one in this residence. As soon as they arrived, they heard the general's distant voice. "Come in." The two plain words were full of intimidation. Mr. Su and Mr. Lu had worked with the general for years and knew him well. Hearing the general's voice, they immediately realized he was in a bad mood. Mr. Su glanced at Mr. Lu with a knowing look and a half-smile. The general might not argue with a girl, but he could go after Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu smiled bitterly, realizing he could be in trouble today. Still, he had to defend Feng Wu. Mr. Lu had asked Elder Hellion about Junlin Yuan, but it just so happened that Junlin Yuan was in seclusion and couldn't offer any help. Mr. Lu could only summon up his courage and lead Feng Wu inside. Behind the gate was the large square and the sole building in the center of it. They entered the building, and the general was inside. The three of them hadn't changed positions. Feng Wu stood in the middle with Mr. Lu on her right and Mr. Su on her left. It was her first time meeting her godfather. According to Feng Sun, he had only met his father a few times because the latter was too busy confronting the Dongseng kingdom. He hadn't returned to the Imperial capital for 10 years. Feng Wu finally got to see the legendary Northern Feng general. He alone had helped the Junwu Empire intimidate the Dongseng kingdom. Northern Feng general sat on a cushion with his legs crossed. He seemed to be in his early 30s and had sculpted features and sharp eyes. While Feng Wu was looking at him, he was studying her as well. There was a letter in his pocket. It had come from his wife a while ago. She wrote excitedly that she had found them a goddaughter named Feng Wu and was sure he would like her when they met. Impossible. Northern Feng general wouldn't believe her. He found his wife too soft-hearted. How could she take in a daughter just like that? Apart from his wife, he didn't care about any other woman, even if she was only a girl. He now saw the girl that his wife had mentioned in the letter. She was, well, she indeed looked as delicate as his wife had said and was as pretty as a china doll. She stood there, looking scared. She seemed to want to stay away from Mr. Su. The general thought, did Mr. Su bully her on her way here? Northern Feng general frowned and was a little displeased. Little Feng Wu? Northern Feng general kept his gaze on her. Yes, godfather. It's me, Feng Wu said sweetly. Chapter 3191. 3191 Father. 3191 Father. Feng Wu beamed at the general. She was a beautiful girl, and her smile was more uplifting than a blossoming flower and brighter than the sunlight. Anyone who saw her smile would feel their mood lighten. Northern Feng general felt as if sunlight had enveloped him and was in a much better mood. Godfather, Mr. Su and Mr. Lu thought their legs would give way when they heard this. Godfather, Mr. Su was so surprised that his eyes popped. It had bothered him when Elder Dongfeng told him that Feng Wu had some sort of relationship with the crown prince. And now, Feng Wu had suddenly become Northern Feng general's goddaughter. This couldn't be happening. Northern Feng general was too serious and impatient to be anyone's godfather. Mr. Su stared at Northern Feng general in surprise and realized the latter hadn't denied it. However, Northern Feng general remained indifferent. He nodded and frowned. He stared at Feng Wu. I thought you'd forgotten who I am. Have you realized what you've done? Very nice. Mr. Su nodded. Feng Wu loves to quarrel. Look at how she criticized me. She won't take this lying down. I'm sure she'll talk back to him. Mr. Su couldn't wait to see the father and daughter shouting at each other. But to his surprise, when the disobedient girl heard what Northern Feng general said, she lowered her head and listened obediently. When she wrung her hands together, she looked like a terrified puppy. Mr. Su was so angry that he almost laughed. The girl was so arrogant when she argued with him earlier. She hadn't been like this at all. What a duplicitous kid. Her voice had been so harsh before. What about now? She was speaking in such a soft and sweet voice. She even sounded like an ordinary girl trying to butter her father up. Father, I'm sorry. She even rubbed her hands together in a fluster as she spoke. No, you're not sorry at all. Mr. Su wanted to kick the girl in the butt. She's pretending. Mister, Su thought. Northern Feng General was very observant. Mister, Su remembered that Northern Feng General could discover every little thing he wanted to keep to himself. Northern Feng General didn't believe in giving someone a break. Nothing could get past his sharp eyes. Therefore, Mister, Su was waiting for Northern Feng General to get angry, but what did he see? Northern Feng General still kept a straight face as he scolded Feng Wu. You're sorry? Do you know what you've done? Feng Wu said, I shouldn't have broken your inscription. The Northern Feng General asked sternly, what else? Feng Wu said, I shouldn't have built a new dome after breaking the previous one. Northern Feng General ground his teeth. Keep talking, Mister. Su frowned. That wasn't an apology. Feng Wu was showing off. No one could break Northern Feng General's level 8 inscription and build a new one. The father and daughter had to be putting on a show. Feng Wu pretended to sob. I shouldn't have lied to them and told them you built it. Northern Feng General rubbed his temples. Feng Wu was right. That was all she did. The elders of the military academy were simply stupid enough to be misguided. Chapter 3192. 3192. What an adorable daughter. 3192. What an adorable daughter. Mister. Su glared at Feng Wu. He had never met someone like her before. She was so irritable when confronting him, but she couldn't apologize fast enough when facing her father. He found Northern Feng General equally strange. How could a perceptive man like him not see this? Mister. Su felt a lump in his throat. Quarreling with a girl was already humiliating, but to make it worse, he couldn't win. It would make him a laughingstock. Of course, someone like Mister. Su wouldn't raise his voice. Instead, he remained perfectly calm. So did Mister. Lu. He rolled his eyes at Feng Wu. What else? Get to the point. Northern Feng General stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, well, Northern Feng General said, leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist. Don't you know that? Tell me the truth. Feng Wu lowered her head and mumbled something. Her voice was so low that Northern Feng General couldn't hear her. What was that? Northern Feng General frowned. Before Feng Wu said anything, Mister, Su answered for her. She said leniency and freedom to those who confess, severity and prison to those who resist. Feng Wu glared at Mister. Su. The general wasn't asking him. What a nosy man. Mister. Su was pleased with himself. Mister. Lu chuckled. He couldn't hold it anymore. He immediately took a step back, hoping that no one would notice him. Northern Feng General almost laughed. So, you could go to prison for this. Answer my question. Northern Feng General put on a stern face again. He was already impressed. The girl was lovely and funny. How could such an adorable person exist? Where did his wife find her? Feng Wu still spoke in that soft and timid voice. I shouldn't have let the people of Imperial College absorb all the all-purpose transformation liquid. Northern Feng General feigned an angry expression. Feng Wu said, but that's because Mister. Su took the liberty first. He said giving us 50% was showing us mercy. Otherwise, they would have taken 70%. Feng Wu's eyes glowed as she told her side of the story. Father, they crossed the line. Both schools made great sacrifices for the Empire. Why is Imperial College always marginalized? Father, the elders of Imperial College weep for the blood they've shed. Mister. Su was infuriated by what Feng Wu said, but Northern Feng General and Mister. Lu had different interpretations. Weep for the blood they've shed. Northern Feng General recalled how Imperial College had defended the Empire against the Dongseng Kingdom for the past decades. Countless members had been buried in peace grassland. Northern Feng General was touched. Why was his daughter so persuasive? Mister. Lu also felt he had never adored Feng Wu so much. Mister. Su was furious. What upset him more was he couldn't find anyone good at quarreling in the military academy, and he had to do it himself. Didn't the military academy make the same kind of sacrifices? Of course you did, Feng Wu said softly and gave him a pleading look. But the elders of the military academy are already so powerful. Why do they want to take the all-purpose transformation liquid from Imperial College? Why can't they give our elders more opportunities? Chapter 3193. 3193. Serve her father tea. 3193. Serve her father tea. Mister. Sue didn't know how to answer those questions. He opened his mouth, but suddenly realized he would walk into Feng Wu's trap. No matter what he said, it wouldn't sound right. The girl is so good at this, mister. Sue thought in frustration. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was complaining to her father. First of all, I won my number 3 from them. Elder Hellion has the paperwork, and it shows that the mine belongs to Imperial College. Northern Feng General glanced at Mr. Liu, who nodded and confirmed that claim. Feng Wu continued, I fell into the all-purpose transformation liquid while making a breakthrough. It was my discovery. Mr. Su wanted to speak, but Feng Wu wouldn't give him the chance. Father, the military academy had that mine for so many years, but they never found the all-purpose transformation liquid. That means it was never meant for them to find. Since they never discovered it, they don't have a right to use it. Father, do you think I'm right? Feng Wu elongated the last syllable like a little girl buttering her father up. Northern Feng General was lost in her sweet voice. He only came back to his senses when Feng Wu finished. Mister. Su couldn't hold back his anger anymore. What did she mean by they didn't have the right to use it? That was outrageous. Northern Feng General said. Even so, you shouldn't have let Imperial College use it up. Give your neighbor a little. Hearing this, Mr. Su was speechless. Northern Feng General looked at Feng Wu. Do you know your mistake now? Feng Wu nodded repeatedly. Yes, I should have left a little for Mr. Su. Northern Feng General was very pleased. Daughters were the best. What a humble girl. Feng Sun, that stupid kid, would have screamed, I didn't do anything wrong, even when Northern Feng General struck him with the thickest whip. Northern Feng General liked Feng Wu even more. Ahem. He cleared his throat, indicating he was still angry. Hearing that, the girl took a step back as if she was frightened. Did he frighten her? Seeing the concerned look on Northern Feng General's face, Mr. Su was so angry that he didn't want to speak anymore. They were right. He shouldn't have relied on other people. Even Northern Feng General, the most reliable man, became unreliable when meeting Feng Wu. Mr. Su felt he had been betrayed by the world. Northern Feng General still had an expressionless face, but he no longer seemed so scary. He said sternly, if you know what your mistake is, do you know what you should do? Northern Feng General gestured at the teapot on the table. Feng Wu was a clever girl and immediately took the hint. She ran to the table and poured a cup of tea. Mr. Su smirked. Does she want to serve me tea as an apology? Does she want to do that now? Why didn't she do so earlier? I won't forgive her, Mr. Su thought proudly. However, Feng Wu didn't serve the tea to Mr. Su as an apology. Instead, she went up to Northern Feng General, who looked at her in bewilderment. Feng Wu handed him the cup with both hands. Father, you've been working on defeating the Dongsang Kingdom day and night. You must be very tired, but you still took the time to look after me. I promise I won't make you worry about me again. Mr. Su thought, what a sycophant. Chapter 3194. 3194. What could he do? 3194. What could he do? My daughter is so adorable. Northern Feng General's heart suddenly softened. Father, you've been talking a lot. Have some tea. It's good for your throat. Feng Wu said gently with a sincere smile. Northern Feng General wanted to rub her head, but on second thought, he realized it would look like he was taking her side. Hence, he cleared his throat and straightened his face. You're a big girl now and should be able to tell right from wrong. He then turned to Mr. Su. Mr. Su, she's just a kid. I know she's offended you, but please forgive her childish behavior. Xiao Wu apologized to Mr. Su. Of course, Feng Wu replied without hesitation. She ran to Mr. Su sighed and bowed. Mr. Su, you're a generous man. Please forgive an ignorant girl. How about this? When I find something nice next time, I'll give you a little. Mister. Su was speechless. He had never heard such a ridiculous apology. However, he realized Northern Fong General had taken the girl's side, and there was nothing he could do. He could only cup his hands, give Northern Fong General a bow, and leave the hall. Northern Fong General glanced at Feng Wu. Was he asking Feng Wu to make Mr. Su happier? Those elders were still waiting outside the front gate. Because of the barrier, they couldn't hear what was going on inside, which was why they had all gathered here. Led by Elder Helion, the elders of Imperial College knelt in front of the red stone lions outside the gate. They sincerely wanted the general to forgive Feng Wu. However, the elders of the military academy were all sitting on the ground with their legs crossed. They were staring at the tightly shut gate. After hearing the general's voice earlier, they believed he wouldn't forgive Feng Wu so easily. But punishing Feng Wu wasn't their goal. They wanted more benefits. The general had a lot of resources, and if he could favor the military academy over Imperial College. The elders of Imperial College had become more capable now and were even stronger than those of the military academy. The latter couldn't live with that. Although they were all sitting on the ground, they kept exchanging looks. When the general asked them to enter, they would all make their requests. Just then, the gate opened, and 3 people came out. Mr. Su walked in the front, followed by Feng Wu. Mr. Lu was still in the rear. Seeing Feng Wu come out without a scratch on her, the elders were all perplexed. After what Feng Wu had done, how could she return in one piece? Elder Helion immediately went up to her. Xiao Wu, are you all right? Elder Dongfang also approached them. Mr. Su, how did it go? Meanwhile, Feng Wu smiled at Mr. Su and said, Old Su, you're out of my league. Mr. Su was furious. What could he do? He couldn't physically attack her, and she was much better at quarreling than he was. If he reprimanded her, what if she cried? Her godfather would definitely come after him. Mr. Su glared at Feng Wu, snorted, and started walking in another direction. Old Su. Elder Dongfang realized something was off. When she finally caught up with Mr. Su, he didn't even look at her. With his hands behind his back, he walked as fast as he could. It was as if he didn't want to face her questions. What was going on? Chapter 3195. 3195 Favorite Question. 3195 Favorite Question. The elders of the military academy were dumbfounded. They looked at one another in bewilderment. Elder Dongfang wouldn't look at Feng Wu. Instead, she stared at Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu, what? Mr. Lu felt that he was the biggest winner of the day. His school had successfully guarded the all-purpose transformation liquid, and his elders had all made some progress. Other than that, he had won this battle in front of the general. How could he not be in a good mood? Mr. Lu glanced at Elder Dongfang and decided to shirk the responsibility. You should talk to Mr. Su. Elder Dongfang didn't dare offend Mr. Lu, a spiritual saint, so she threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and ran after Mr. Su. Feng Wu had no idea why Elder Dongfang glared at her. The other elders of the military academy all left with Elder Dongfang, and the crowd outside the gate was instantly reduced by half. Elder Helion rubbed Feng Wu's head. What happened? Why was Mr. Su so angry? Feng Wu shrugged. I have no idea. I didn't do anything to him, but he was as angry as a balloon fish. What a petty man. Elder Helion didn't dare talk behind Mr. Su's back. If a spiritual saint really wanted to get to the bottom of something, nothing could be kept from them. Feng Wu looked at the elders. Because she wasn't as capable as they were, she couldn't tell if they had made any improvements. She had to ask Elder Helion about it. Elder Helion had been waiting for that question. Of course they've made breakthroughs, he said excitedly. Some elders have just made some progress. I think we can expect more. Guess what? We now have 20 intermediate spiritual overlords and 4 senior ones. Feng Wu's eyes lit up, and she gave him the reaction he had been waiting for. Wow, that's awesome. Elder Helion said, right? It was all thanks to your all-purpose transformation liquid. Our elders have made significant progress. We're as powerful as the military academy's elders now. They can't intimidate us anymore. Elder Hellion made the announcement proudly. Fengwu nodded with a smile. Of course. Wait, you've only mentioned 24 elders. There should be one more. This was Elder Hellion's favorite question. He couldn't stop beaming at her. Fengwu immediately got the hint. Oh my, Elder Hellion, you're not a spiritual saint, are you? Elder Hellion awkwardly scratched his head. Fengwu was pleasantly surprised. Really? Are you a spiritual saint now? Although the spiritual saint stage had different levels, it was still on a totally different level from the spiritual overlord stage. The two stages were 2 worlds apart. Elder Hellion nodded with a smile. Fengwu said, "That's worth celebrating. Your treat. One more spiritual saint was a great help to the Junwu Empire. Aren't we supposed to reach an equilibrium with the Dongsang Kingdom? We have one more spiritual saint now. What will they do?" Fengwu frowned. That was beyond Elder Hellion's pay grade. "Mr. Liu said, that'll depend on the negotiation between the two sides. Either we'll send an elder back, or they'll send another one to the border. Spiritual saints are so rare. I don't think the Dongsang Kingdom can come up with a new one." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.